Hello guys, welcome to Scion What If. So in this video, we will see what if Goku landed in Attack on Titan's world. If you enjoy these kinds of stories, don't forget to show us some love by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. Your support means the world to us. Now, let's start the story. Chapter 1, Crash Landing. The night sky above Shiganshina district exploded with light. A blazing object tore through the darkness, leaving a trail of fire in its wake as it plummeted toward the earth. The few villagers still awake at this hour stopped and stared at the phenomenon, some pointing in fear, others in awe. "Is it a falling star?" a child asked his father. "Too big, too bright," the man whispered, clutching his son's shoulder. "And stars don't change direction." Inside the Reichardt household, Karina Reichardt jolted awake at the thunderous boom that rattled their modest home's windows. Her husband Otto was already pulling on his boots. "What was that?" she asked, throwing aside the blankets. "Dunno." "Sounded close though," Otto replied, grabbing a lantern. "Just outside the south fields, maybe." Karina followed him outside where neighbors were already gathering, all pointing toward a pillar of smoke rising from the edge of the forest that bordered their farmland. "Could be Titans," someone murmured, and the crowd tensed. Otto shook his head. "Titans don't fall from the sky. And the walls haven't been breached, we'd have heard the warning bells." "I'm coming with you," Karina said, already pulling on her coat. They weren't the only curious ones heading toward the smoke. A small group of villagers, armed with whatever makeshift weapons they could grab, cautiously approached the crash site. The garrison soldiers would likely arrive soon, but human curiosity always moved faster than official response. The smoking crater wasn't as large as they'd feared, maybe 20 feet across. At its center sat a metallic sphere, unlike anything they'd ever seen. Strange symbols decorated its surface, which gleamed despite the dirt and scorch marks from its violent landing. "What is it?" someone whispered. "Don't touch it," another warned. Otto moved closer, holding his lantern high. "It's some kind of vessel." As if responding to his voice, the sphere hissed and a section of it slid open with a mechanical whir. The gathered villagers jumped back in alarm, a few turning to flee. But curiosity kept Otto and Karina rooted in place as they peered into the opening. Inside, cushioned in some strange material, lay a baby. A perfectly normal-looking baby, except for one startling feature, a brown, furry tail. "It's a child," Karina gasped, moving forward before Otto could stop her. The baby's eyes opened. Instead of crying, he looked around with an intensity that seemed impossible for an infant. Then, surprisingly, he smiled. "Karina, wait," Otto began, but his wife had already reached into the pod and lifted the child. "He's just a baby, Otto," she said, cradling him against her chest. "A baby who needs help." The infant gurgled happily in her arms, his tail swishing behind him. "But what about?" Otto gestured vaguely at the tail. "We can't just leave him here," Karina insisted. Her eyes filled with determination Otto knew all too well. They'd tried for years to have children of their own without success. "This is a blessing, Otto. Don't you see? He was sent to us." Before Otto could respond, the baby reached out with surprising strength and grabbed his finger, squeezing it with a grip that made Otto wince. "Strong little fella," he murmured, a smile tugging at his lips despite his reservations. "The garrison will be here soon," someone in the crowd warned. "They'll take him away for sure." Karina and Otto exchanged a look. For years, they'd hoped and prayed for a child. "We should go," Otto decided suddenly, shrugging off his jacket to wrap around the baby, concealing the unusual tail. "Now." They named him Goku. "It just feels right," Karina had said, and Otto didn't argue. They told their neighbors and the authorities that the child was the son of Karina's distant cousin who had died, and they had taken him in. The tale they kept secret, wrapping him carefully when others were around. As an infant, Goku was unlike any baby they'd ever encountered. He rarely cried, ate enough for 3 children his age, and began walking at just 6 months old. By his first birthday, he was running, climbing, and breaking household items with his inexplicable strength. Goku, no. Karina lunged across the kitchen as 3-year-old Goku hoisted the heavy oak dining table over his head, giggling as though it weighed nothing. "But I'm helping clean, Mama," he protested as she frantically took the table from him, struggling under its weight while he released it effortlessly. "Cleaning doesn't mean picking up the furniture, sweetie," she explained, breathless. Just use the broom like I showed you." Otto entered from his workshop, wiping his hands on a rag. What was all that noise? Goku was rearranging the furniture again, Karina said with a pointed look. Otto knelt before the boy. "Son, remember what we talked about? About being careful with your strength?" Goku nodded solemnly. "Because I'm special and other kids might get scared or jealous." "That's right," Otto ruffled his wild, spiky hair that seemed to defy any attempt to tame it. "And what else?" "My tail is a secret," Goku recited, the appendage in question curling obediently around his waist under his shirt, where it usually stayed hidden. Otto smiled. "Good boy. Now, want to help me in the workshop? I could use someone strong to hold those boards while I saw them." Goku's face lit up. "Yes." As they walked out, Karina couldn't help but smile. They'd had their fears about raising this strange child, but Goku's perpetual cheerfulness and kind heart had quickly melted any reservations. Whatever he was, wherever he'd come from, he was theirs now. At 5 years old, Goku first met Eren Yeager. The Reikarts had brought Goku into Shiganshina proper for the market day, and while Karina haggled with a vegetable vendor, Goku wandered off, fascinated by the hustle and bustle of the town. He rounded a corner and found 3 older boys surrounding a smaller one with bright green eyes, pushing him around and laughing. "Say it again about going outside the walls," Yeager, the biggest one taunted, shoving the green-eyed boy hard. "You're crazy just like your dad." "I'm not crazy," the boy, Eren, shouted back, taking a wild swing that missed entirely. "The world belongs to us. We shouldn't have to hide like cattle." The older boys laughed harder. One grabbed Eren by the collar. "Let's teach this suicidal idiot a lesson." "Hey!" Goku called out, stepping forward. "Leave him alone." The bullies turned, sizing up the newcomer with dismissive glances. "Mind your own business, shrimp," the leader sneered. "Unless you want a beating too." Goku tilted his head. "Why are you being mean? He didn't do anything to you." "He's crazy, talking about going outside the walls." "Maybe you're crazy too." "I don't think it's crazy," Goku said simply. "I'd like to see what's out there too." The older boy snorted and shoved Eren aside, advancing on Goku. "Then you need to learn your lesson first." The boy swung his fist directly at Goku's face. Without even thinking about it, Goku caught the punch in his palm, stopping it cold. The bully's eyes widened in shock. "That's not very nice," Goku said, still holding the fist. "You should apologize." The boy yanked his hand back and winced, shaking his fingers. "What the hell? Get him." The 3 bullies rushed Goku at once. Moving with a speed that surprised even himself, Goku simply stepped aside, causing 2 of them to crash into each other. The third managed to grab Goku's shirt, ripping it slightly, and revealing the furry brown tail that had come unwrapped from his waist. What is that?" the bully stammered, pointing with a shaking finger. Goku quickly tucked his tail away, but the damage was done. The bullies backed away, eyes wide with fear. "He's a monster," one of them shouted. "Freak," yelled another as they turned and ran. Goku stood there, face burning with shame. This wasn't the first time someone had discovered his tail, but it never got easier. "Is it real?" came a voice behind him. Goku turned to find the green-eyed boy, Eren, staring at him with curiosity rather than fear. Goku hesitated, then nodded. "Can I see it?" Eren asked. Slowly, Goku let his tail unfurl from beneath his shirt, allowing it to wave slightly in the air. Instead of running away screaming, Eren's eyes lit up with excitement. That's amazing. How did you get it? Can you do anything special with it? Can you hang from trees? The barrage of enthusiastic questions caught Goku off guard, but a smile spread across his face. I was born with it. And yeah, I can hang from trees, but my parents say I shouldn't show off. I'm Eren, the boy said, extending his hand. Eren Yeager. Goku Reichardt, he replied, shaking Eren's hand carefully to avoid hurting him with his strength. You want to see outside the walls too? Eren asked. Goku nodded. I feel like I'm supposed to see more of the world, you know. Like there's something out there calling me. Eren's eyes widened. That's exactly how I feel. My dad says people shouldn't be trapped inside these walls forever. We were born free. Eren. A girl's voice called out. Moments later, a dark-haired girl with a red scarf wrapped around her neck appeared around the corner. She ran to Eren's side, examining him for injuries. Are you okay? I heard there was trouble. I'm fine, Mikasa, Eren assured her. Thanks to my new friend. This is Goku. He scared those bullies away. Mikasa turned to study Goku with penetrating eyes that seemed far older than her years. Thank you for helping Eren, she said formally. Mikasa lives with us, Eren explained. She's family. Another boy appeared, this one blonde and smaller than either Eren or Mikasa. He was panting slightly, as though he'd been running to catch up. Eren. Mikasa. Why'd you run off like that? Sorry, Armin, Eren grinned. Mikasa thought I was in trouble again. Were you? Armin asked knowingly. Not really. Oh, this is Goku. He wants to see outside the walls too. Armin's eyes lit up. Really? I have a book, he stopped suddenly, lowering his voice. I have a book about the outside world. It says there's flaming water, lands of ice, and fields of sand spread so wide you can't see the end of them. Goku felt something stir inside him at these words, a strange sense of recognition, as though he'd heard of such places before, even though he knew he hadn't. Goku? His mother's worried voice called from down the street. Goku, where are you? That's my mom, he said. I have to go. Will you come back to Shiganshina? Eren asked eagerly. We live just outside the district, on a farm, Goku explained. I come to town sometimes with my parents. Meet us by the big tree near the south gate next time you're here, Eren said. We can talk more about the outside world. Goku nodded eagerly. I'd like that. As he ran back to his worried mother, Goku felt a strange lightness in his chest. For the first time, he'd met people who didn't think he was weird for being different or for wanting more than life within the walls. Over the next few years, Goku's friendship with Eren, Mikasa, and Armin grew stronger. Whenever his parents brought him to Shiganshina, he would slip away to meet his friends by their tree, where they would share Armin's forbidden books and dream about life beyond Wall Maria. I can't believe how fast you climb, Armin marveled as Goku scampered up to the highest branches of their meeting tree, moving with an agility that seemed impossible. Goku grinned down at them. Want to see something cool? Without waiting for an answer, he hung upside down, using only his tail to support his weight on the branch. That's amazing! Armin exclaimed. Show off, Eren called up, but he was smiling too. Mikasa just watched silently, her dark eyes assessing. Of the three, she was the only one who seemed truly aware of how unusual Goku's abilities were. Have you always been this strong? She asked one day as they sat by the canal, watching boats drift by. Goku nodded. My dad says I could lift our dining table when I was 3. And the tail? She pressed. You were born with it? As far as I know, Goku replied, suddenly self-conscious. Among his 3 friends, he didn't bother hiding his tail, but he kept it concealed from everyone else. My parents found me when I was a baby. Found you? Eren perked up, attention caught. Goku hesitated. His parents had warned him not to talk about the circumstances of his arrival, but these were his friends. Promise not to tell anyone. They all nodded solemnly. I fell from the sky. In some kind of metal ball. My parents found me and took me in. For a moment, there was stunned silence. Then Eren burst out laughing. Yeah, right. And I'm secretly the king's son. Goku's face fell. It's true. My parents told me. There was a crash outside town, and they found me in a metal pod. Armin wasn't laughing. From beyond the walls. Or, beyond the sky. Goku shrugged. I don't know. They didn't keep the pod. The garrison took it away. Mikasa placed a hand on Eren's arm to quiet his snickering. It would explain a few things, she said softly. Like what? Eren challenged. She gestured at Goku. The tail. The strength. The way he can jump higher than anyone I've ever seen. You really believe he fell from the sky? Eren asked incredulously. I believe he's different, Mikasa replied. And that he's our friend. The simple declaration warmed Goku's heart. He'd been afraid they might reject him if they knew the full truth. Armin's eyes were wide with excitement. What if there's more beyond our world than just what's outside the walls? What if there are other worlds up in the sky? Now who's crazy? Eren teased, but his tone was good-natured. Goku leaned back, gazing up at the clouds. Sometimes I feel like I'm supposed to be doing something important. Like there's something big waiting for me. Fighting titans? Eren suggested, suddenly serious. Maybe, Goku said. I think I'd be good at that. Better than joining the military police and hiding in the interior, Eren agreed. When we're old enough, we should join the scout regiment. See the outside world for ourselves. I'm in, Goku said without hesitation. Me too, Armin added, though his voice trembled slightly. Mikasa sighed. Then I'm going too. Someone has to keep you all alive. On Goku's 10th birthday, Otto took him deep into the forest behind their farm. They walked for nearly an hour, farther than Goku had ever been allowed to go before. Where are we going, Dad? He asked, easily keeping pace despite the rough terrain. His tail swished freely behind him, enjoying the rare freedom from being hidden. There's something I need to show you, Otto replied, his face uncharacteristically serious. Something your mother and I have been keeping safe for you. They reached a small clearing where a massive old oak had partially uprooted, creating a hollow beneath its trunk. Otto knelt and reached into the hollow, pulling out an oilcloth-wrapped bundle. What is it? Goku asked, curiosity piqued. Otto carefully unwrapped the bundle, revealing a strange spherical device the size of a large melon. It was metallic, with odd symbols etched into its surface. This was with you in the pod, Otto explained. We kept it hidden when the garrison took the rest away. We thought someday you might want to know about where you came from. Goku reached out, touching the cool metal surface. The moment his fingers made contact, the device hummed to life, projecting a ghostly image into the air between them. Otto fell back with a startled curse, but Goku remained transfixed. The projection showed a muscular man with spiky hair much like Goku's own. He wore strange armor and had a tail wrapped around his waist. Kakarot, the projection spoke in a language Goku somehow understood, despite never having heard it before. If you are receiving this message, then you have survived and grown on the planet where you were sent. I am Bardock, your father. Otto made a choked sound, but Goku barely registered it, entranced by the image. You are a scion, a warrior race from planet Vegeta. You were sent to this world as an infant to prepare it for conquest. However, by the time you view this, our homeworld will likely be long destroyed by Frisia, the tyrant who enslaved our people. The image flickered, showing glimpses of strange worlds, fearsome battles, and beings with power that made Goku's eyes widen. You possess the potential for great power, Kakarot. The Saiyans are the mightiest warriors in the universe. With each battle, with each recovery from injury, your strength will grow. The full moon will trigger your transformation into the great ape form, multiplying your power tenfold. More images, giant ape-like creatures devastating landscapes, firing energy from their mouths. I've included basic combat training programs in this device. Activate them when you're ready to embrace your heritage. Remember, you are a Saiyan warrior. It is in your blood to fight, to conquer, to become stronger. Avenge our race, Kakarot. Fulfill your destiny. The projection flickered and died. Silence fell over the clearing. Otto's face had gone pale. Goku. We didn't know. We never activated it before. Goku stared at the now dormant device, emotions warring inside him. My real name is Kakarot, he said softly, testing the sound of it. You're our son, Otto said firmly, placing his hands on Goku's shoulders. No matter what that thing says. You're Goku Reichardt. You've been our boy since the day we found you. Goku looked up at the man who had raised him, taught him to be gentle despite his strength, showed him kindness and love. I know, Dad. I'm still me. But something had changed. A piece that had always been missing suddenly clicked into place. The strange urges he sometimes felt, the thrill when playing rough with other children, the yearning to test his limits, the hunger for something more that even his friends' dreams of the outside world didn't quite satisfy. Can we take it home? Goku asked. I want to learn more. Otto hesitated, then nodded. Your mother and we always knew this day would come. Just promise me something, Goku. What? Don't forget who raised you. Who loved you. Whatever this Saiyan heritage is, you're also the boy we raised. Remember that. Goku nodded solemnly. I promise. In the year that followed, Goku struggled to reconcile the two sides of himself, Goku Reichardt, the kind-hearted farm boy who helped his parents and dreamed of adventure with his friends, and Kakarot, the Saiyan warrior with power meant for conquest. He spent hours in secret with the device, which contained not just the message from Bardock but training programs that taught Saiyan fighting techniques. He practiced these techniques in the forest, away from prying eyes, amazed at how naturally they came to him. The device showed him how to focus his energy, his ki, it called it, to enhance his strength and speed. With practice, he found he could create small energy blasts from his palms, though these exhausted him quickly. When his friends noticed his longer absences, he shared parts of the truth, showing them some of his new abilities but keeping the darker aspects of his heritage to himself. That's incredible. Eren exclaimed after Goku demonstrated a small energy ball hovering above his palm. With power like that, you could kill Titans easily. Maybe, Goku agreed, letting the energy dissipate. He hadn't told them about the great ape transformation the message had mentioned. The thought of changing into a huge, destructive monster terrified him. He'd begun avoiding looking at the full moon, just in case. Where did you learn to do that? Armin asked, ever curious. Just figured it out, Goku lied, hating the dishonesty but fearing their reaction to the full truth. Been practicing. Mikasa studied him with her penetrating gaze. You're different lately, she observed. More serious. Goku shrugged, trying to keep his tone light. Just growing up, I guess. Well, don't grow up too fast, Eren said, punching his arm playfully. We've still got years before we can join the military. Goku smiled, grateful for his friend's acceptance, even if they didn't know everything. Everything changed on that fateful day in 845. Goku had come to Shiganshina with his parents for the spring market. While they sold their farm goods, he slipped away to meet his friends. They were sitting by their usual spot near the canal, Armin showing them a book about the ocean, an endless body of salt water that Goku found both fascinating and oddly familiar, as though he'd seen such a thing before. The peaceful moment shattered with a crack of lightning and a boom that shook the very ground beneath them. People screamed, pointing toward the wall. What was that? Armin gasped, the book slipping from his fingers. They ran toward the commotion, joining the crowd of people staring up in horror. There, looming over Wall Maria, was a massive, skinless face, a titan larger than any ever reported, its head visible above the 50-meter wall. That's impossible, someone in the crowd muttered. The wall is 50 meters high. It's the colossal titan, another whispered in terror. As they watched, the massive titan drew back its foot and kicked the gate with devastating force. Debris exploded inward, crushing houses and people unfortunate enough to be nearby. And through the gaping hole in humanity's first defense, other titans began to enter. Chaos erupted. People ran screaming in all directions. The garrison soldiers scrambled to organize evacuations, but panic had already taken hold. My mom! Eren suddenly shouted, his face ashen. She's at home. He took off running toward the inner district. Eren, wait! Mikasa called, chasing after him. Armin turned to Goku, eyes wide with fear. My grandfather, I need to find him. Go. Goku urged. I need to find my parents too. They were at the market. They split up, Armin heading toward his home while Goku raced back to the marketplace. But the once bustling square had transformed into a scene of mayhem. Overturned stalls, trampled goods, and no sign of his parents. Mom! Dad, he shouted, pushing against the flow of fleeing people. A thunderous footstep shook the ground. Goku turned to see a 7-meter titan lumbering into the square, its grotesque smile fixed on its face as it reached for a frozen woman clutching her child. Without thinking, Goku sprinted toward them. Hey! Over here, he shouted, waving his arms. The titan paused, its dead eyes shifting toward the new target. The woman seized the opportunity to flee with her child. Now face to face with a real titan, Goku felt a strange mixture of fear and excitement surge through him. The Saiyan part of him, Kakarot, recognized this as a battle, an opportunity to test his strength. The titan lunged with surprising speed. Goku leapt, higher than any normal human could, sailing over the titan's grabbing hand. Drawing on the techniques he'd practiced, he focused his energy and slammed his fist into the back of the titan's neck with all his might. The impact sent a shockwave through the air. The titan staggered, a steaming dent in its nape, but didn't fall. Goku landed on its shoulder, eyes wide. The creature was tougher than he'd expected. The titan swung around, trying to grab him. Goku jumped again, this time concentrating his ki into his hand as he'd learned from the Saiyan training. Program. A faint blue glow surrounded his fist as he punched straight through the titan's nape. The massive body collapsed, already beginning to steam. Goku landed beside it, staring at his own hand in amazement. He'd done it, he'd killed a titan. But there was no time to celebrate. He needed to find his parents. He raced through the streets, calling for them, using his heightened speed and strength to check places others couldn't reach. The scenes of horror around him were almost overwhelming, people crushed under debris, others being devoured by titans. He saved those he could, using his abilities to distract titans or help people escape, but he couldn't be everywhere. Finally, near the inner gate, he spotted his father's familiar coat. Dad, he shouted, racing toward him. Otto turned, relief flooding his face. Goku! Thank the gods! He grabbed Goku in a fierce hug. Your mother, she's already through the gate. We got separated in the crowd. We need to go, Goku urged, pulling his father toward the gate where soldiers were directing the evacuation. That's when he heard Eren scream. Goku froze, turning toward the sound. Dad, that's my friend. He's in trouble. Otto gripped his shoulder. Goku, no. We have to evacuate. But I can help. I killed a Titan already, I can save them. His father's eyes widened. You what? No, it's too dangerous, even for you. We have to go now. Goku hesitated, torn between his father and his friends. Another scream decided him. I'm sorry, Dad. Get to Mom. I'll catch up. Before Otto could stop him, Goku bolted toward the sound, using his Saiyan speed to dart between buildings and over rubble. He followed the screams to a collapsed house, where a Titan was reaching into the debris. Eren and Mikasa were there, desperately trying to lift a wooden beam that had pinned someone, Eren's mother, beneath the ruins of their home. Hang on! Goku shouted, landing beside them. Goku! Eren's tear-streaked face turned to him. Help us! My mom's trapped. Without hesitation, Goku grabbed the massive beam that Eren and Mikasa had been struggling with. With a grunt of effort, he lifted it, his Saiyan strength allowing him to raise what would have taken several grown men. Hurry, he urged as Eren and Mikasa pulled his mother from beneath the debris. But Carla Yeager's legs were crushed, unusable. As Eren tried to lift her, she pushed him away. My legs are shattered. Even if you could carry me, I'd only slow you down. I won't leave you. Eren shouted. The Titan was reaching for them now, its fingers just yards away. Carry her, Goku told Eren and Mikasa. I'll hold it off. What? No. Eren protested. Go. Now. Goku turned to face the Titan, dropping into a fighting stance he'd learned from the Saiyan training program. Energy began to gather around his hands. Mikasa, always practical, pulled Eren away. He's right. We need to go. But, your friend is buying us time, Carla said weakly. Don't waste it. As they retreated with Eren's injured mother, Goku faced the Titan. This one was different, smiling eerily, with blonde hair and proportions more feminine than the one he'd faced earlier. Somehow, it seemed more aware, more dangerous. Goku launched himself at the Titan, aiming for its eyes to blind it temporarily. But this Titan was faster, swatting him aside with a backhand that sent him crashing through a nearby wall. Pain exploded through his body, the first real pain he'd ever experienced from a fight. The impact stunned him momentarily. By the time he scrambled back through the hole in the wall, the Titan had already caught up to his friends. To his horror, it had Carla in its grasp. No! Goku shouted, gathering his ki into the strongest attack he'd managed to learn. A ball of blue energy formed between his hands. Kemihemiche, he shouted instinctively, though he'd never heard the word before. The energy blast shot forward, striking the Titan's arm. The creature recoiled, its arm smoking and damaged, but it didn't release Carla. Instead, it simply used its other hand to raise her to its mouth. Goku launched himself forward again, but he was too late. The Titan bit down, ending Carla Yeager's life in an instant as Eren screamed in helpless rage. Something snapped inside Goku. Rage unlike anything he'd ever felt surged through him, his Saiyan blood burning with fury. With a primal scream, he charged at the Titan, his aura flaring visibly around him. His fist connected with the Titan's jaw with such force that its head snapped backward. Before it could recover, Goku was on its nape, pummeling it with blows enhanced by his ki until the flesh gave way and the Titan collapsed. Panting, energy spent, Goku dropped to his knees beside the steaming corpse. He'd killed it, but he'd been too late to save Eren's mother. He found Eren and Mikasa being dragged away by a garrison soldier, Hannes, Goku recognized. Eren was still screaming, fighting to go back, while Mikasa had gone eerily silent, tears streaming down her face. Goku, a familiar voice called. His father appeared, face streaked with dirt and sweat. Thank the gods you're alive. Otto grabbed him, lifting him despite Goku's unusual weight for his age. We need to go, now. As his father carried him toward the inner gate, Goku watched over his shoulder. The district he'd grown to love was overrun with titans, smoke rising from dozens of fires, screams still echoing through the streets. And somewhere in that chaos, his friends were suffering a loss he couldn't protect them from. "I should have been stronger," he whispered. "You're alive," his father countered. "That's what matters." But the Saiyan voice inside him, Kakaroto's voice, disagreed. Strength was what mattered. Power. And he would need much more of it if he wanted to protect what was left. The refugee camp inside Wall Rose was a study in misery. Thousands of displaced people crammed into too little space, with too little food and even less hope. The Reikarts had been among the fortunate ones, all three of them had survived and stayed together. Many families hadn't been so lucky. Goku found Armin sitting alone by one of the distribution centers, staring blankly at the ground. "Armin," he approached cautiously. "Are you okay? Did you find your grandfather?" Armin looked up, his eyes hollow. "He's fine. He was already evacuating when I found him." He hesitated. "I heard about Aaron's mom. Is it true?" Goku nodded grimly. "I tried to save her, but I wasn't fast enough." "You tried to fight a titan?" Armin's eyes widened. "Goku, that's—" "I killed 2 of them," Goku said quietly. "But it wasn't enough." Armin stared at him in disbelief. "How?" "My strength. My abilities." Goku clenched his fist. "But I need to be stronger." They sat in silence for a moment before Armin spoke again. "Aaron's different now. After what happened, he's changed." "Where is he?" Armin pointed to a corner of the warehouse where refugees were being sheltered. Goku spotted Aaron sitting with Mikasa, a blanket wrapped around them both. Aaron's face was set in an expression Goku had never seen before, pure, undiluted hatred. He approached them slowly. "Aaron? Mikasa?" Mikasa acknowledged him with a slight nod. Aaron just stared ahead, unseeing. "I'm sorry," Goku said, the words feeling wholly inadequate. "I tried to, I know," Aaron interrupted, his voice flat. "Hannes told me. You fought it. I should have been faster. Stronger." Aaron finally looked at him, his green eyes burning with an inner fire. "I'm going to kill them," he said with terrifying certainty. "Every last one. I'm joining the military as soon as I'm old enough. And I'm going to exterminate every titan on this earth." Goku nodded slowly. "I'm with you." "We all are," Mikasa added softly. Armin, who had followed Goku, squared his shoulders. "Me too." For a moment, the 4 friends sat together in silence, their childhood dreams of exploration transformed into something harder, darker, a vow of vengeance and survival. The next day, Goku's world shattered once more. His father, who had gone back with a garrison recovery team to try to salvage supplies from their farm, never returned. Reports came back of a Titan attack on the recovery mission. Few survived. His mother broke the news with quiet dignity, though her eyes were red from weeping. "Your father loved you more than anything in this world, Goku," she told him. "He was so proud of the man you're becoming." That night, alone in a corner of the refugee shelter, Goku pulled out the small Saiyan device his father had shown him. It was the only piece of his heritage he had left. Activating it, he bypassed Bardock's message and went straight to the training programs. "I'll become stronger," he whispered to himself, memorizing combat forms and techniques he would practice when he could find privacy. "Strong enough that I never lose anyone again." In the distance, bells tolled, signaling the departure of the scout regiment on an emergency mission to try to reclaim Wall Maria. Goku watched them ride out, their green cloaks snapping in the wind, the wings of freedom emblazoned on their backs. One day, he promised himself, he would wear those wings. And he would use every ounce of his Saiyan heritage to ensure humanity's survival. Because he was Goku Reichardt. And Kakarot. Both the boy his parents raised and the warrior born to fight. And the Titans wouldn't know what hit them. Chapter 2, The Warrior's Path. 2 years after the fall of Wall Maria, Goku stood in formation with dozens of other cadets, fists clenched behind his back as Commandant Keith Shoddy stalked between the rows, his sunken eyes searching for weakness to exploit. The 104th Training Corps had just assembled, and the air hummed with nervous energy. Goku had grown significantly since the refugee camp. At 12, he was already taller and more muscular than most of the older recruits. Years of secret training with the Scion device and helping with the backbreaking labor of the reclamation effort had honed his body to peak condition. He kept his tail wrapped securely around his waist under his uniform, a precaution that had become second nature. His eyes flicked briefly to where Eren, Mikasa, and Armin stood in their own rows. They'd all enlisted together, true to the promise they'd made. His mother had wept when he told her his decision, but she hadn't tried to stop him. "You have your father's heart," she'd said. "And strength all your own. Just come back to me." Shoddy stopped in front of a nervous-looking boy with a shaved head. "You. What's your name, maggot?" "Connie Springer from Ragako village, sir," the boy replied, snapping into a salute, with his left fist over his heart instead of his right. Shoddy's lifted Connie by his head until the boy's feet dangled off the ground. "Did I ask where you're from? And what kind of salute is that? Did your parents drop you on your head as a baby?" Connie stammered. "You'll never be soldier material. You'll be Titan food before your first mission." Goku winced as Shoddy's continued berating the poor kid. The commandant moved on, tearing into cadet after cadet. When he reached a tall, freckled girl munching on a potato, all hell broke loose. But Shoddy's bypassed Goku without a word, just as he had Eren and Mikasa. Goku understood why. They'd witnessed the fall of Shiganshina, had already been forged in the fire of tragedy. No amount of screaming could break them after what they'd seen. Later, as they filed into the mess hall for dinner, Eren dropped onto the bench beside him. "Can you believe we're finally here?" Eren asked, his green eyes gleaming with the same intensity they'd had since that day. 3 years, and then we join the scout regiment. "If we graduate," Armin reminded him, sitting across from them with his tray. "The dropout rate is supposed to be really high." Mikasa took the seat on Eren's other side. "We'll graduate," she said with quiet certainty. Goku nodded, already halfway through his first serving. His appetite had always been enormous, but the rigors of training demanded even more calories than usual. "No doubt about it. Look at these guys," a voice called from another table. A cadet with an elongated face and ash-brown hair smirked in their direction. "Especially that one, eating like food isn't scarce anymore." "That's Gene Kirstein," Armin murmured. "I heard he's from Trost District." Goku glanced up from his meal. "What's his problem?" "Ignore him," Eren muttered. "He's probably one of those planning to join the military police and live in safety while others fight." Gene approached their table, his gaze lingering on Mikasa before turning to Goku. "Hey, big guy. Where are you putting all that food? You've eaten enough for 3 cadets." Goku shrugged. "I've always eaten a lot. Fast metabolism, I guess." "Yeah. Well, some of us grew up with food shortages," Gene said, his tone sharpening. "Maybe show a little restraint." Eren half rose from his seat. "Back off, Gene. Not everyone's planning to hide behind Wall Sina like you." Gene's face darkened. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means some of us joined to fight Titans, not to run from them." The mess hall quieted as their argument escalated. Before things could get physical, Goku stood, his height allowing him to tower over both boys. "Hey, we're all here to train, right?" he said, placing a hand on Eren's shoulder. "Let's save the fighting for the Titans." Gene scoffed. "Listen to your friend, Jaeger. Not that it matters. In 3 years, I'll be in the interior, and you suicidal blockheads can get eaten if that's what you want. As Jean walked away, Eren shook with anger. People like him make me sick. How can he just accept living like cattle? Not everyone has your fire, Eren, Armin said gently. Goku silently returned to his meal, but his mind was working. He'd noticed the way Jean had looked at Mikasa, the same way many male cadets had. She'd grown into a striking young woman, her quiet strength and beauty drawing attention whether she wanted it or not. It wasn't just Jean, several of the others had been stealing glances at her throughout the evening. After dinner, the cadets were shown to their barracks, boys and girls in separate buildings. As they prepared for bed, a freckled boy introduced himself to Goku. Marco Bot, he said, extending his hand. From Jaini, on the south side of Wall Rose. Goku Reichardt, he replied, shaking Marco's hand carefully to avoid crushing it. Shiganshina, originally. Marco's eyes widened. You were there. When Wall Maria fell? Goku nodded grimly. Is that why you enlisted? For revenge? Goku considered the question. Partly. But mostly to protect what's left. And to see beyond the walls someday. Marco smiled. I want to serve the king. That's why I'm aiming for the military police. At least you're honest about it, Goku said, returning the smile. Unlike Jean, Marco's ambition seemed driven by genuine idealism rather than self-preservation. As the others settled into their bunks, Goku lay awake, staring at the ceiling. His Saiyan heritage made him need less sleep than the others, another difference he had to hide. Once he was sure the others were asleep, he slipped out of the barracks and into the moonlit training grounds. Finding a secluded spot behind the supply shed, Goku unwrapped his tail and began practicing the forms he'd learned from the Saiyan device. The movements came naturally to him, as though his body remembered things his mind had never known. Punches, kicks, blocks, each flowing into the next with increasing speed until he was just a blur in the darkness. He finished the sequence and paused, breathing steadily. Then he closed his eyes, concentrating on the energy within him. The device had taught him to focus his ki, to draw it out and direct it. A soft blue glow began to emanate from his palms. What are you doing? A voice asked from the shadows. Goku whirled, the glow instantly extinguished. A short girl with blonde hair and a prominent nose stepped into the moonlight. He recognized her from the formation earlier, Annie Leonhardt, he thought her name was. Training, he said cautiously, making sure his tail was out of sight. She crossed her arms. That didn't look like any training I've seen before. Just something I came up with, he lied. Couldn't sleep. Annie's pale eyes studied him with unsettling intensity. Your stance is unusual. Not military. Where did you learn to fight like that? Goku shifted uncomfortably. There was something about this girl that put him on edge, a watchfulness that reminded him of a predator. My father taught me, he said, which wasn't entirely untrue. Bardock's message and the Saiyan device had been a kind of father's teaching. Was all she said. Then, surprisingly, she dropped into a fighting stance of her own. Spar with me. What? Now. It's the middle of the night. You're already training. So am I. Why waste the opportunity? Goku hesitated. He always had to be careful when physically engaging with others, lest he reveal his true strength. But something in Annie's confident stance suggested she was no ordinary cadet. All right, he agreed, sliding into a basic stance, not the Saiyan form he'd been practicing, but a more conventional one. They circled each other slowly. Annie struck first, a lightning-fast kick aimed at his midsection. Goku blocked it, surprised by the force behind the blow. She followed with a series of punches and strikes that would have overwhelmed most opponents. Goku dodged and blocked, gradually increasing his speed to match hers. They danced across the moonlit ground, neither landing a solid hit. He was holding back significantly, but to his surprise, so was she, he could sense it. After several minutes, Annie stepped back. "You're not trying," she said flatly. "Neither are you," he countered. A ghost of a smile flickered across her face. "No. I'm not." She studied him again, her eyes narrowing. "You're different from the others. So are you." They stared at each other for a long moment, a silent acknowledgement passing between them. Then Annie turned to leave. "We should get back before someone notices we're gone. But we should do this again." Goku watched her vanish into the darkness, a strange feeling prickling at the back of his neck. Something about Annie felt wrong. Or perhaps just different, in a way that resonated with his own differences. The next day brought their first training with the Omnidirectional Mobility Gear, or ODM gear, as the cadets called it. Goku watched with interest as the instructors demonstrated the equipment that allowed soldiers to maneuver in 3 dimensions, essential for fighting Titans effectively. "The trick is balance," the instructor explained. "Your body needs to work in perfect harmony with the gear. Distribute your weight evenly, use your core muscles, and trust the wires." They started with balance tests, suspended in harnesses to practice the feeling of hanging in the gear before actually using the gas-propelled maneuvering system. To Goku's surprise, despite his physical advantages, he found this unexpectedly challenging. "Steady, Rykart," Shotties barked as Goku wobbled in his harness. "Center your weight." Goku gritted his teeth, trying to adjust. His tail, tightly wrapped around his waist beneath his uniform, threw off his center of gravity in ways the others didn't have to contend with. Plus, his muscle distribution was different from normal humans, denser, heavier in certain areas. After his third fall, Shotties pulled him aside. "What's the problem, Rykart? With your physical condition, this should be easy for you." "Just need to get used to it, sir," Goku replied, brushing dirt from his pants. Shotties narrowed his eyes. "There's something off about your balance. Like you're carrying weight unevenly." Goku tensed. Had the commandant noticed his tail? "I'll figure it out, sir," he assured Shotties. "See that you do. I've got my eye on you, Rykart. You've got potential, don't waste it." That evening, after everyone was asleep, Goku snuck out again to practice with the training harness. He adjusted his technique, accounting for his tail and unique physiology. After hours of frustrating attempts, he finally found a way to distribute his weight that worked with his body rather than against it. When testing resumed the next day, he performed perfectly. "Well done, Rykart," Shotties nodded approvingly. "Whatever adjustment you made, it worked." From across the training ground, Goku noticed Annie watching him with that same calculating gaze. Beside her stood 2 other cadets he'd noticed she spent time with, a tall, quiet boy named Berthold and a stocky, blonde one named Reiner. All 3 of them had a similar quality that Goku couldn't quite place, a separateness from the others, as though they shared a secret. As training progressed over the weeks that followed, the cadets moved from basic balancing to actual maneuvering through the forest training grounds. Here, Goku excelled. Once he mastered the balance issue, his exceptional reflexes and spatial awareness made him a natural. He soared between trees, executed perfect turns, and developed a fluid style that caught the attention of instructors and fellow cadets alike. "You're showing off," Aaron accused good-naturedly as they cleaned their gear one evening. Goku grinned. "Can't help it. Flying feels right somehow. Like I was meant to do it." "You're not flying, you're maneuvering," Jean interjected from nearby. "And some of us have to work twice as hard for half the results." "You're doing fine, Jean," Marco assured him. "Better than most, actually." Jean snorted. "Not better than Mikasa. Or this guy." He jerked his thumb at Goku. "It's like they were born for this." Goku and Mikasa exchanged a glance. If only Jean knew how accurate his statement was, at least in Goku's case. The hand-to-hand combat training that began in their second month provided new challenges. The instructors emphasized that while this training was technically for fighting human opponents if necessary, the skills developed would improve overall coordination and reflexes for Titan combat as well. Again, Goku had to be careful. His natural strength and fighting instincts would make him devastating in a real fight, but he needed to hold back to avoid hurting his partners or drawing unwanted attention. He purposely kept his performance good but not exceptional during the supervised sessions. Annie, however, had no such reservations. She dominated her opponents with a fighting style unlike the military hand-to-hand they were being taught. When paired against Eren, she flipped him so hard he lay gasping in the dirt for a full minute. Where did she learn to fight like that? Armin wondered aloud as they watched. Not in the military, Goku said. It's something else. Something personal. One evening after dinner, Annie approached Goku as he was heading back to the barracks. Midnight. Behind the supply shed, she said simply, then walked away without waiting for a response. Goku found her there as promised, already warming up with fluid movements that reminded him somewhat of his own Saiyan combat forms. No holding back this time, she said as he approached. I don't want to hurt anyone, Goku replied carefully. Annie's eyes flashed. You won't hurt me. And I won't hurt you, much. There was a challenge in her voice that stirred something in his Saiyan blood, the desire to test himself against a worthy opponent. All right, he agreed. But we keep it quiet. No drawing attention. She nodded once, then attacked without warning. This time, her movements were faster, more precise, closer to what he'd sensed she was capable of during their first encounter. Goku responded in kind, still restraining his full strength but using more of his speed and technique. They exchanged blows at a pace no ordinary cadet could have maintained, neither landing a clean hit but coming close enough to force genuine effort. Annie's style was efficient and devastating, focusing on using an opponent's weight against them. Goku's more varied approach combined elements of the Saiyan fighting techniques with adaptations he'd developed himself. After 20 minutes of intense sparring, they separated, both breathing hard but neither injured. You fight like no one I've ever faced, Annie said, wiping sweat from her brow. Who are you, really? I could ask you the same, Goku countered. That's not standard military technique. A flicker of something, caution. Concern, crossed Annie's face. My father taught me, she said after a pause. He was intense about my training. Goku nodded, not pushing further. Everyone had their secrets, and he had more than most. These midnight sparring sessions with Annie became a regular occurrence, beneficial to both of them. She was the only person he could train with at something approaching his real capability, and he sensed she felt the same way. As their first year of training progressed, Goku continued his private practice with ki manipulation. The Saiyan device had taught him the basics, but developing the techniques required practical application. Late at night, far from the barracks, he practiced focusing and directing his energy. He started small, generating light, enhancing his punches and kicks with ki, improving his jumping height and running speed. Gradually, he worked up to energy blasts, starting with ones barely powerful enough to singe leaves and progressing to concentrated beams that could punch through tree trunks. The real breakthrough came 6 months into their training. Goku had hiked deep into the forest, finding a clearing far from any potential observers. There, he practiced a technique the device had described but that he'd never successfully executed, the ability to use ki to levitate and fly without mechanical assistance. For hours, he focused his energy, trying to distribute it beneath and around him in a way that would counteract gravity. He managed short hops, brief moments of floating, but nothing sustained. Frustration built inside him. Come on, he muttered to himself. Saiyans can do this. It's in my blood. He closed his eyes, drawing deeper into himself. Instead of forcing the energy out, he let it flow naturally, like water finding its path. He thought of the freedom he felt using the ODM gear, the joy of movement through three-dimensional space. When he opened his eyes, he was hovering 3 feet above the ground. A startled laugh escaped him, breaking his concentration and sending him tumbling back to earth. But he'd done it. He'd actually flown, even if just for a moment. Excitement surged through him as he tried again, and again, each attempt lasting longer than the last. By sunrise, he could maintain flight for several minutes, moving in any direction by will alone. It was crude and required intense concentration, but it was real flight, no gas canisters or anchor points needed. This discovery opened new possibilities. If he could fly under his own power, he wouldn't need to rely on ODM gear to fight Titans. He could attack from any angle, without worrying about anchor points or gas supplies. But he kept this ability secret, even from his closest friends. The ability to fly without equipment would raise too many questions he couldn't answer. For now, it would remain his last resort, his secret advantage. The turning point came during their second year of training. By then, the initial group of cadets had been whittled down by dropouts and transfers. Those who remained were becoming skilled soldiers, with clear hierarchies of ability emerging. Mikasa consistently ranked at the top of every evaluation. Goku and Reiner vied for second place, with Eren, Bertholdt, Annie, and Jean forming the next tier. Armin, while physically weaker than most, excelled in theoretical knowledge and strategy. During a forest training exercise, teams of cadets were competing to capture flags, while evading instructors playing the role of Titans. Goku's team, which included Eren, Armin, and Connie, was pinned down by two instructors blocking their path to the final flag. "We need a distraction," Armin whispered as they crouched behind a cluster of trees. "If someone can draw them off, the rest of us can grab the flag." "I'll do it," Eren volunteered immediately. "No," Goku countered. "I'm faster. I can lead them away and still have a chance of getting back to help if needed." Armin nodded. "Goku's right, Eren. He's got the best chance." Eren reluctantly agreed. "Fine. But don't take any stupid risks." Goku grinned. "Since when do I take stupid risks?" Before Eren could retort, he was off, swinging through the trees with deliberate noise to attract the instructor's attention. As planned, both Titans pursued him, leaving the path clear for his teammates. Goku led them on a wild chase, showcasing the maneuvering skills that had put him at the top of that particular class ranking. He flipped, spun, and changed direction with fluid grace, always staying just out of reach. What he didn't anticipate was a third instructor joining the chase from an unexpected direction. As he rounded a massive oak, he found himself face to face with Commandant Shotties himself, playing the role of a particularly stubborn Titan. Goku tried to veer away, but his right anchor misfired, a mechanical failure at the worst possible moment. He began to fall, his momentum carrying him directly toward a collision with Shotties. In that split second, instinct took over. Without conscious thought, he channeled ki to stabilize himself, essentially flying for a brief moment to adjust his trajectory and fire his left anchor into a different tree. The maneuver was so quick, so subtle, that most observers would have simply thought he'd made an exceptional recovery using his functioning gear. But as he swung away, he caught Shotties' expression, narrowed eyes and a deep frown that suggested he'd noticed something unusual. Goku's team won the exercise, and the other cadets celebrated their victory. But that evening, Shotties summoned him to his office. "Explain what happened in the forest today," the commandant said without preamble as Goku stood at attention before his desk. "Sir. We completed the exercise successfully, not the exercise, Reichardt. That recovery after your right launcher failed. I've been training cadets for years, and I've never seen anyone correct a fall like that without both anchors functioning." Goku maintained his composure. "Just good reflexes, sir. And luck." "Bullshit," Shotties said flatly. "For a moment, it looked like you were moving without any mechanical assistance at all. Like you were." He hesitated, as though the word seemed ridiculous even to him. "Flying. The gear was still working partially, sir. I just made the most of what I had." Shotties studied him for a long moment. There's always been something different about you, Rykart. Your strength, your speed, the way you adapted to the balance issues that should have been impossible to overcome with your muscle mass. He leaned forward. What are you? The directness of the question caught Goku off guard. Sir. I've been training soldiers for a long time. I know human capabilities and limitations. And you, cadet, occasionally step outside those limitations. Goku swallowed hard. This was what he'd always feared, someone in authority noticing his differences, asking questions he couldn't answer. I'm just a cadet trying to become a soldier, sir. Like everyone else. Shades held his gaze for what felt like an eternity. Finally, he leaned back in his chair. Whatever you are, Rykart, whatever advantages you have, use them well. Humanity needs every edge it can get against the Titans. He sighed heavily. You're dismissed. Goku saluted and turned to leave, relief washing over him. And Rykart? Shades called as he reached the door. Sir. If you ever feel like explaining those advantages, my door is open. Not as your commandant, but as a soldier who wants humanity to survive. Goku nodded once, then left, his mind racing. Shades suspected something, but hadn't pushed, yet. He would need to be more careful going forward. The incident with Shades made Goku more cautious about using his abilities, but it also forced him to consider what would happen after graduation. If he joined the scout regiment as planned, his powers would eventually be revealed in actual combat against Titans. Perhaps it would be better to confide in a few trusted people before that happened. He decided to start with his closest friends. One evening during their third year of training, he led Eren, Mikasa, and Armin to a secluded spot in the woods. There's something I need to show you, he said once he was certain they were alone. Something I've been keeping secret. More secret than your tail? Eren asked with a half-smile. The three of them had known about that particular feature since childhood. Much more, Goku replied seriously. What I'm about to show you, it changes everything. He took a deep breath, then extended his hand, palm up. Focusing his ki, he generated a small ball of blue energy that hovered above his palm, illuminating their faces in its ethereal glow. What the? Eren breathed, eyes wide. Armin leaned closer, scientific curiosity overcoming his shock. Is that fire? No, it's something else. It's energy, Goku explained. Ki energy. Everyone has it inside them, but I can draw it out and use it. How long have you been able to do this? Mikasa asked quietly. I've been practicing for years, but it's part of who I am, what I am. Goku let the energy dissipate. There's more. Watch. He took a few steps back, then channeled his energy downward. Slowly, he rose into the air until he was hovering several feet above the ground. You're flying, Armin whispered, awe in his voice. Actually flying. Holy shit, Eren added eloquently. Goku descended, landing lightly. I can do other things too. Enhance my strength and speed, fire energy blasts powerful enough to hurt Titans, I think. Why didn't you tell us sooner? Eren demanded, a hint of hurt in his voice. I couldn't risk it getting out, Goku explained. And honestly, I'm still learning what I can do. It's not easy to control. Armin's mind was already racing with tactical possibilities. This changes everything. If you can fly without ODM gear, attack from any angle. We could use this, Eren said, excitement building. Against the Titans, this could be a game changer. Mikasa, ever practical, raised the obvious concern. The military will want to study you if they find out. You could become an experiment rather than a soldier. That's why I'm only telling you three, Goku said. I trust you with my life. But once we graduate and join the scouts, I won't be able to hide it forever. Not in actual combat. Then we need a plan, Armin said decisively. A way to introduce your abilities gradually, in a context that makes them seem less, well, less alien. Goku nodded gratefully. Having his friends know his secret, at least part of it, felt like a weight lifted from his shoulders. He hadn't told them everything, not about his Saiyan origins or the pod that brought him to this world. But it was a start. As they walked back to the barracks, Eren clapped him on the shoulder. You know, when we were kids and you said you fell from the sky in a metal pod, I thought you were making it up. Still think that? Goku asked with a small smile. Eren shook his head. Not anymore. And I'm glad you're on our side, whatever you are. Graduation approached rapidly after that night. The top cadets were pushing themselves to secure positions in the top 10, which would give them the option to join the military police if they chose. Goku maintained his position near the top without drawing undue attention to his abilities, while helping Eren improve his hand-to-hand combat and ODM skills. The night before their final evaluation, the mess hall buzzed with nervous energy. Conversations centered around future plans and predictions about rankings. You're still set on the scouts? Jean asked Eren as they sat at their usual table. It was no longer asked as a challenge. Over 3 years, a grudging respect had formed between the two rivals. Always have been, Eren replied firmly. Jean shook his head. You're insane. The interior is safe, comfortable. Why throw that away? Because safety inside these walls isn't really living, Goku interjected. It's just existing. Says the guy who could probably take down a titan with his bare hands, Jean retorted. Over the years, Goku's unusual strength had become something of a running joke among the cadets, though none knew just how accurate the assessment was. What about you, Goku? Marco asked. You're definitely making top 10. Will you consider the military police? Goku shook his head. Scouts all the way. I need to see what's out there. He's not the only one, Reiner added, joining their conversation. The stocky blonde had become something of a big brother figure to many of the cadets. I think a few of us have our eyes on the scouts this year. More candidates for an early grave, Jean muttered, though without real malice. Annie, who rarely joined group conversations, spoke from her seat at the end of the table. The smart ones will go where they can live long lives. And where will you go, Annie? Goku asked, meeting her gaze. She held his eyes for a moment before looking away. Wherever makes sense. The next day brought their final evaluation, a comprehensive test of ODM skills, Titan combat techniques, and tactical knowledge. The cadets performed their maneuvers under the watchful eyes of not just their instructors, but representatives from all 3 military branches. Goku executed his runs flawlessly, taking down the wooden Titan targets with precision and speed, all while carefully avoiding any display of his supernatural abilities. His goal wasn't to show off, but to graduate with a ranking that would give him options without drawing unwanted attention. That evening, they assembled for the graduation ceremony. Shadi stood before them, his perpetual frown perhaps a touch less severe than usual. For the last 3 years, you've sweat, bled, and endured. Some of you showed promise. Others were worthless from the start. His eyes swept across the formation. But those of you standing here now have earned the right to call yourselves soldiers. He began announcing the top 10 graduates, starting from the bottom of the list. Jean, Berthold, Reiner, Annie, and Eren all made the cut, their names called to applause from their fellow cadets. Number 2, Goku Reichardt. Goku stepped forward to receive his commendation, aware of the appraising looks from the military police representatives. They would be disappointed when he declined their invitation. And number 1, Mikasa Ackerman. No one was surprised by Mikasa's top ranking. Her skills were exceptional by any standard, her cool efficiency in every task unmatched among the cadets. After the ceremony, as the new graduates celebrated their achievement, Commander Erwin Smith of the Scout Regiment made an appearance, along with Captain Levi and several other veteran scouts. They moved among the cadets, observing and occasionally engaging in conversation. Erwin approached Goku as he stood with Eren, Mikasa, and Armin. Impressive record, Cadet Reichardt. Second in your class is quite an achievement. Thank you, Commander, Goku replied, standing straighter. Erwin's piercing blue eyes studied him with uncomfortable intensity. Keith Shoddy speaks highly of your potential. Says you have unique capabilities. Goku's heart skipped a beat. Had Shoddy shared his suspicions with the scout commander? I try to make the most of my training, sir, he said carefully. Erwin murmured, not pushing further. I hope to see all of you at tomorrow's recruitment address. The scout regiment needs soldiers with your potential. His gaze lingered on Goku a moment longer before he moved on. Did Shoddy say something to him about you? Armin whispered once Erwin was out of earshot. Maybe, Goku replied uneasily. But he didn't push it. The scout regiment would be crazy not to want you, Eren said confidently. All of you. We're going to change things, make a difference out there. Goku nodded, but his mind was on Erwin's calculating gaze. The commander was known for his strategic brilliance and willingness to make hard choices for humanity's benefit. If he suspected Goku was something other than human, how would he use that information? The celebration continued late into the night, but a pall fell over the proceedings when news arrived from Trost District, reports of unusual Titan activity near the outer gate. Nothing confirmed, just nervous rumors, but enough to remind the graduates of what awaited them in the real world beyond training. As Goku lay in his bunk that night, unable to sleep as usual, he sensed a presence moving outside the barracks. Silently, he slipped to the window and peered out. In the moonlight, he saw 3 figures moving stealthily toward the forest, Reiner, Berthold, and Annie. Curiosity piqued, he considered following them. Their behavior had always struck him as odd, the secretive conversations, the unusual combat skills Annie and Reiner possessed, the way they sometimes watched the other cadets with assessing eyes. But something told him this wasn't the night to confront whatever secrets they held. Instead, he returned to his bunk, wondering what tomorrow would bring. Little did he know, it would bring the Battle of Trost, and the revelation that would change everything they thought they knew about Titans and humanity's fight for survival. The morning dawned bright and clear, a cruel contrast to the horror that awaited them. The new graduates had been assigned to Trost District for their first duties as full-fledged soldiers, with many planning to attend the scout regiment's recruitment address later that day. Goku and his friends stood atop the wall, performing maintenance on the cannons that defended against Titan incursions. The mood was light, with talk of future plans and friendly banter. When I join the scouts, I'm going to see the ocean, Armin was saying, his blue eyes alight with the dream he'd nurtured since childhood. All that salt water, stretching to the horizon. We'll all see it, Eren promised. After we've driven the Titans from our world. Goku smiled at his friend's enthusiasm, but something felt off. A strange sensation prickled at the back of his neck, the same feeling he got when sparring with Annie, a sense of something powerful and dangerous nearby. He turned, scanning the area beyond the wall. Nothing visible, but the feeling persisted. Something wrong? Mikasa asked, noticing his tension. Before Goku could answer, a blinding flash of lightning struck just behind the wall, accompanied by a thunderous boom that shook the very stones beneath their feet. A massive, skinless hand appeared, gripping the top of the wall. No, Eren whispered, horror dawning on his face. Not again. The colossal Titan's head rose into view, steam billowing from its exposed muscles. Its eyes, seemingly dead and yet somehow aware, surveyed the soldiers frozen in shock atop the wall. Move! Goku shouted, breaking the spell. Everyone back. But it was too late. The Titan swung its arm in a devastating arc, smashing the cannons and sending soldiers flying. The force of the blow knocked Eren over the edge of the wall, toward the interior of Trost. Without thinking, Goku launched himself after his friend, using his ODM gear to catch Eren midair and swing them both to safety on a nearby rooftop. Around them, chaos erupted as the colossal Titan kicked in the gate, just as it had done 5 years earlier at Shiganshina. Eren! Goku! Armin's voice called from above. He and Mikasa had managed to anchor themselves to the wall, avoiding the Titan's attack. "We're okay." Goku called back. "Get to the assembly point." But Eren was already firing his anchors back toward the wall. "That bastard's not getting away this time." He launched himself upward, determination etched on his face. "Eren, wait." Goku fired his own anchors, racing after his friend. They reached the top of the wall just as the colossal Titan began to emit enormous amounts of steam, creating a scalding barrier between itself and the soldiers. Eren plunged into the steam, slashing wildly with his blades, but when the vapor cleared, the Titan had vanished as mysteriously as it had appeared. "Damn it!" Eren cursed, pounding his fist against the wall. "How does something that big just disappear?" Goku landed beside him, eyes scanning the area. There was no sign of the colossal Titan, but through the breached gate, smaller Titans were already entering the district. Bells rang out across Trost, signaling the emergency. "We need to get to HQ, Goku said urgently. "They'll be deploying emergency response teams." Within the hour, the graduates of the 104th Training Corps found themselves on the front lines of humanity's latest battle for survival. The garrison's elite soldiers were attempting to seal the breach while the rest of the forces were tasked with evacuating civilians and engaging the Titans that had already entered. In the chaotic assembly at headquarters, Goku found himself assigned to Squad 34 along with Eren, Armin, Mina Carolina, Thomas Wagner, and several other graduates. Their task, to support the middle guard, protecting the evacuation route. As the squads prepared to deploy, Eren addressed their group. "This is what we trained for. Today, we take back what's ours." His passionate words lifted their spirits somewhat, but fear still showed in many faces. Goku caught Armin's eye. "Stay close to us," he said quietly. "This isn't training anymore." Armin nodded, his face pale but determined. "I won't let you down." The squads moved out, using their ODM gear to traverse the rooftops of Trost. The sight that greeted them was nightmarish, Titans of varying sizes wandering the streets, some already feasting on civilians who hadn't evacuated in time. Squad 34 moved in formation, following their designated route toward the middle district. They hadn't gone far when Thomas spotted an abnormal Titan leaping between buildings with unnatural agility. "Look out," he shouted as the Titan changed direction, heading straight for their squad. The graduates scattered, but the Titan snatched Thomas from midair, its massive jaws closing around his torso before he could even scream. "Thomas!" Eren yelled, horror and rage contorting his features. Before anyone could stop him, he changed course, racing toward the Titan that had taken their comrade. "Eren, no!" Goku shouted, immediately giving chase. "Stick to the formation." But Eren was beyond reason, consumed by the same hatred that had driven him since his mother's death. He flew through the air, blades ready, straight toward the abnormal Titan. He never reached it. From below, another Titan lunged upward, its jaws closing around Eren's leg. The momentum carried them both downward, Eren screaming in pain and fury as he was pulled toward a waiting mouth. "Eren!" Goku poured on speed, channeling ki into his muscles to move faster than the ODM gear alone would allow. He slashed at the Titan's eyes, temporarily blinding it, then severed the arm holding Eren. They tumbled onto a rooftop, Eren clutching his bloody stump where his lower leg had been bitten off. His face was ashen with shock and blood loss. "Hang on," Goku said urgently, tearing fabric from his cloak to make a tourniquet. "We'll get you out of here." The rest of their squad had followed, but they were now surrounded. Titans converged from all directions, drawn by the commotion and the scent of blood. Mina was the next to fall, caught as she tried to maneuver between buildings. Another Titan bit Nactias in half as he tried to reach higher ground. "We have to retreat," Armin shouted, landing beside them. "There are too many." "Help me with Eren," Goku ordered, securing the tourniquet. Mikasa's squad should be nearby, we need to reach them. But more Titans were closing in. A bearded one climbed the building they were on, massive hands reaching for them. Goku pushed Armin and the barely conscious Eren toward the edge of the roof. Go, he commanded. I'll hold them off and catch up. But, Armin began. Go. Goku turned to face the approaching Titans, drawing both blades. Get Eren to safety. Armin hesitated only a moment before firing his anchors to the next building, supporting Eren as they swung away. The bearded Titan lunged for them, but Goku slashed at its eyes, drawing its attention. With his friends temporarily safe, Goku faced the 5 Titans now surrounding the building. In a normal situation, a single soldier against this many would be suicide. But Goku wasn't a normal soldier. Alright, he muttered to himself, dropping into a fighting stance. No more holding back. He fired his anchors into the nearest Titan's shoulder, launching himself forward with blades extended. As he approached, he channeled ki into his arms, enhancing his strength far beyond human limits. His slashes cut deep into the Titan's nape, carving out a chunk much larger than necessary to kill it. The Titan fell, steam already rising from its body. Goku didn't pause, immediately targeting the next one. He moved with supernatural speed, his body a blur as he darted between Titans, slashing and cutting with deadly precision. 2 more fell in quick succession, but the 4th, a 15-meter class with disproportionately long arms, managed to grab his wire, yanking him off course. Goku found himself being pulled directly toward the Titan's waiting mouth. Time seemed to slow. In that moment, he made a decision. If he was going to protect his friends, protect humanity, he couldn't keep hiding his true abilities. He severed his own wire, freeing himself from the Titan's grip. But instead of falling, he hovered in the air, supported by nothing but his own ki. The Titan's eyes widened in what almost looked like surprise. Goku extended his hand, blue energy gathering in his palm. Take this, he growled, releasing a concentrated ki blast directly into the Titan's face. The creature's head exploded in a shower of steaming flesh and bone, its body collapsing backward. The last Titan rushed him, apparently undeterred by the fate of its companions. Goku met it head-on, flying straight at its nape and channeling ki into his blade. The enhanced weapon sliced through the Titan's neck like it was paper, killing it instantly. As the steaming corpses began to disintegrate around him, Goku hovered above the rooftops, scanning for more threats. In the distance, he could see other battles raging, soldiers fighting desperately against overwhelming odds. Many were dying. He needed to find Eren and Armin, make sure they'd reached safety. But first, there were other cadets in danger nearby. He could sense them, 3 soldiers cornered by Titans 2 blocks away. Flying without ODM gear, Goku raced toward them. He found Connie, Sasha, and Samuel surrounded by 3 Titans, their gas supplies nearly depleted as they clung to a church steeple. What the? Connie's eyes widened as Goku appeared, floating in midair without visible support. Hold on. Goku called, gathering energy between his palms. Kemikamiche. The blue beam shot forth, disintegrating the nape of the nearest Titan. Before the others could react, he was among them, slashing with ki-enhanced blades, moving faster than the eye could track. In seconds, all 3 Titans lay steaming on the ground. Sasha stared at him, mouth agape. How did you? You were flying. No time to explain, Goku said, landing on the steeple beside them. You hurt? We're okay, Connie said, still staring in disbelief. But what the hell was that? What are you? A friend, Goku replied simply. Get to HQ if you can. I need to find Eren and Armin. Without waiting for more questions, he took off again, this time not bothering to hide his flight. The situation was too dire for secrecy. Lives were at stake, including his friends. He found Armin kneeling alone on a rooftop, staring blankly ahead, covered in blood that wasn't his own. Of Eren, there was no sign. Armin. Goku landed beside him, fear gripping his heart. Where's Eren? Armin's hollow eyes turned to him, tears streaming down his face. He's gone, he whispered. He saved me, but a Titan got him. Swallowed him whole. I saw it happen. The world seemed to tilt beneath Goku's feet. Eren, dead? It couldn't be. Not after everything they'd survived, everything they'd promised to do together. Are you sure? He demanded, gripping Armin's shoulders. Absolutely sure. Armin nodded numbly. I was right there. I couldn't do anything. I froze. He died saving me. Grief and rage surged through Goku in equal measure. For a moment, his vision tinged red, his ki flaring around him visibly. Where? He asked, his voice barely recognizable. Where did it happen? Armin pointed shakily toward a street a few blocks away. That bearded Titan. The one that got Thomas too. It just swallowed him. Goku stood, energy crackling around his clenched fists. Get to safety, he told Armin. Find Mikasa if you can, but don't tell her yet. Not until I'm sure. Goku, what are you going to do? Armin asked, a note of fear in his voice. Goku looked toward where Armin had pointed, his eyes cold with determination. I'm going to find that Titan. And I'm going to tear it apart. He launched himself into the air, flying at full speed toward the location Armin had indicated. The bearded Titan was still there, lumbering between buildings, searching for more prey. Goku hovered above it, drawing its attention. Remember me? He called down, wanting it to look at him, to see what was coming. The Titan gazed up, its grotesque smile unchanging. It reached for him with ponderous hands, too slow by far. Goku's rage exploded. With a scream that echoed across Trost, he unleashed his power, his aura blazing around him like blue fire. He dive-bombed the Titan, punching straight through its chest with a ki-enhanced fist. The creature staggered back, a massive hole where its heart would be if it were human. But Goku wasn't finished. He tore into the Titan with savage fury, ripping off limbs, blasting away chunks of its body, determined to find Eren if he was still inside or at least avenge him if he wasn't. The Titan collapsed, most of its body destroyed. Steam rose from the ruins as it began to disintegrate. Of Eren, there was no sign. Breathing heavily, covered in evaporating Titan blood, Goku hovered over the remains. The rage drained from him, leaving only hollow grief. Eren was gone. His friend, the one who had accepted him despite his differences, who had shared his dream of seeing the world beyond the walls, was dead. A commotion from the direction of HQ drew his attention. Looking up, he saw an unusual sight, a 15-meter Titan with a muscular build fighting other Titans, actually attacking them instead of humans. It slammed its fist into a smaller Titan, then grabbed another by the neck and smashed it into a building. What the hell? Goku muttered, watching in confusion. He'd never heard of Titans attacking each other. Deciding to investigate, he flew toward HQ, where the strange Titan continued its rampage against its own kind. As he got closer, he noticed something odd. This Titan moved with purpose, with intelligence in its actions. It protected the headquarters building where many soldiers had taken refuge, systematically destroying any other Titans that approached. Landing on a nearby roof, Goku observed the peculiar Titan as it fought. There was something familiar about its movements, its fighting style. His eyes widened in sudden realization. No way, he breathed. It couldn't be. The rogue Titan roared as it took down another of its kind, the sound filled with unmistakable rage, human rage. It stomped on the fallen Titan's nape with deliberate precision, ensuring it was dead. Goku dropped onto the HQ roof, finding several of his fellow cadets already there, watching the bizarre spectacle with the same confusion he felt. What's happening? He asked as he joined them. Goku! Connie exclaimed. Man, are we glad to see you. did you see that Titan? It's fighting the others. I saw, Goku confirmed, his eyes never leaving the rogue Titan. Any idea why? None, Reiner replied, his expression unreadable. But it's buying us time to regroup and refill our gas. The supply room was overrun, but now we might have a chance to reach it. Armin arrived shortly after, having followed the same commotion. His face was still pale from the shock of Eren's loss, but seeing the rogue Titan seemed to spark something in him. It's protecting us, he said, watching as the muscular Titan slammed two smaller ones together. Fighting for us. That's crazy, Jean objected. Titans don't help humans. They eat us. This one's different, Mikasa said as she landed on the roof. She had clearly been fighting hard, her blades dulled and her uniform splattered with evaporating Titan blood. And we should use the opportunity it's giving us. She turned to Goku, her eyes questioning. Have you seen Eren? Goku and Armin exchanged pained looks. Before either could answer, the rogue Titan let out another deafening roar as it defeated the last of the Titans surrounding HQ. We need a plan to reach the supply room, Armin said quickly, perhaps eager to delay delivering the terrible news. Even with that Titan clearing the outside, there are still several smaller ones inside the building. The cadets quickly formulated a strategy. A small group would drop into the supply room through the lift shaft, while the main force would distract the Titans in the larger chamber above. Those with the best kill records, including Goku, Mikasa, and Annie, would then eliminate the Titans once the others had drawn them into position. What about him? Connie gestured to the rogue Titan, which had ceased its rampage and now stood motionless outside HQ. What if it decides we're next? It won't, Armin said with surprising certainty. If it wanted to eat humans, it would have done so already. The plan worked almost perfectly. The cadets successfully reached the supply room, and with the coordinated attack, they eliminated the Titans inside. Gas canisters were distributed, allowing everyone to refill their depleted tanks. We should move out while we can, Jean urged once everyone was resupplied. Head for the inner gate before more Titans show up. Most agreed, but Goku's attention was drawn outside, where the rogue Titan had collapsed to its knees, apparently exhausted from its battles. Steam rose from its body in increasing quantities. Something's happening to it, he said, moving to a window for a better view. The others joined him, watching as the Titan's body began to disintegrate more rapidly. But what caught their attention was the sight of a figure emerging from the nape of the creature's neck, a human figure attached to the Titan by strands of muscle and tissue. There's someone inside it. Connie exclaimed. As the figure pulled free entirely, the remaining Titan flesh began to evaporate completely. The human collapsed onto the ground, apparently unconscious. It can't be, Mikasa whispered, her composure cracking for the first time. She launched herself out the window, using her ODM gear to reach the prone figure. Goku was right behind her, his heart racing with impossible hope. They landed beside the unconscious form, and Goku's breath caught in his throat. It was Eren. Alive, whole, even his missing leg had somehow regenerated. He lay breathing steadily, apparently unharmed despite having been swallowed by a Titan earlier. Eren. Mikasa dropped to her knees, cradling his head, tears flowing freely down her face. How is this possible? Goku knelt beside them, checking Eren's pulse, confirming he was truly alive. I don't know, he admitted. But I think he was that Titan. That's impossible, Armin said as he and the others arrived. A human can't become a Titan. Apparently one can, Goku replied softly, looking at his unconscious friend with new understanding. And if Eren can do it? He left the implication hanging. If a human could become a Titan, could control that power and use it to fight, it changed everything they thought they knew about their enemy. The other cadets stared in shock, murmuring among themselves. Goku noticed Annie, Reiner, and Bertholdt exchanging significant looks, their expressions a mixture of alarm and something else he couldn't quite identify. Before they could decide what to do next, garrison soldiers surrounded them, weapons drawn. "Step away from that boy," their commander ordered. "He's coming with us, under guard. He saved us." Mikasa protested, her protective instincts flaring. She rose to her feet, positioning herself between the soldiers and Eren. "He fought the Titans." "We all saw what happened," the commander replied grimly. "He emerged from a Titan's body. For all we know, he is a Titan. Now stand aside, or we'll consider you a threat as well." Goku stood beside Mikasa, his own body tense. "Eren is our friend. He's human." "A human who can turn into a Titan," another soldier pointed out fearfully. "He's a monster." The standoff might have turned violent if Armin hadn't stepped forward, hands raised placatingly. "Please, we don't understand what's happening either. But Eren fought to protect us. At least give him a chance to explain when he wakes up." After tense negotiation, the garrison agreed to take Eren into custody rather than executing him on the spot. He would be held until he regained consciousness, at which point his fate would be decided based on whether he was deemed a threat to humanity. As the soldiers carried Eren away, Mikasa moved to follow, her face set in determination. "I'm going with him." "We all are," Goku said firmly. He glanced at Armin, who nodded in agreement. The rest of the cadets watched uncertainly as their three comrades accompanied the garrison soldiers. Some looked afraid, others confused. But all of them had witnessed something unprecedented, a human emerging from a Titan, and a Titan fighting to protect humanity. The Battle of Trost was far from over. The breach in the wall remained, and Titans continued to pour into the district. But something fundamental had changed. The emergence of a human Titan, of Eren as a Titan, had altered the equation. And as Goku walked alongside his friends, he realized that his own secret abilities no longer seemed so shocking by comparison. Several cadets had witnessed him flying, shooting energy blasts, displaying strength far beyond human limitations. In the chaos of battle, these revelations had been overshadowed by the more immediate concerns of survival and then by Eren's transformation. But questions would come eventually. Both he and Eren would have to answer for their abnormal abilities. The military would want explanations, and Goku wasn't sure how much of his true origins he was prepared to reveal. For now, though, his priority was clear: protect Eren, just as Eren had protected them all in his Titan form. Whatever came next, they would face it together. As they approached the inner wall, where Eren would be held, Goku felt a strange sense of anticipation. The world was changing around them, secrets being revealed, new possibilities emerging from the chaos. And somewhere in that changing world, perhaps there were answers about his own origins, about what it meant to be a scion on a planet fighting for its survival against monsters called Titans. Chapter 3, Beyond Limits. The crowd roared as Commander Erwin Smith stood on the platform, sunlight glinting off his meticulously maintained uniform. Behind him, the standard of the Scout Regiment, the Wings of Freedom, fluttered in the breeze. Dozens of fresh-faced cadets from the 104th stood at attention, including Goku, Eren, Mikasa, and Armin. After the unprecedented events at Trost, Erwin's voice carried across the courtyard, humanity has secured its first victory against the Titans. The breach has been sealed, thanks to Cadet Yeager's unique abilities. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Everyone had heard the stories by now, how Eren Yeager could transform into a 15-meter Titan. How he had plugged the hole in wall rose with a massive boulder. The military tribunal that followed had been tense, with both the military police and the garrison arguing for Eren's execution. Only Erwin's intervention, offering to take responsibility for Eren within the Scout Regiment, had saved him. But securing the wall is just the beginning, Erwin continued. Now we must take the fight to the enemy. With new weapons at our disposal, we will reclaim what is ours. Goku felt eyes on him as Erwin spoke of new weapons. Word had spread about his own unusual abilities during the Battle of Trost, how he'd flown without ODM gear, fired energy from his hands, demonstrated strength beyond human capability. Though less dramatic than Aaron's Titan transformation, his powers had not gone unnoticed. Beside him, Aaron stood rigid with determination. The last 2 weeks had been brutal for him, imprisoned, feared, nearly executed, then subjected to endless tests by the eccentric scout regiment officer, squad leader Hang Zoe. Through it all, he'd maintained his resolve to use his power against the Titans. Today, Erwin's voice swelled with conviction, I call upon you to offer your hearts to humanity's cause. Join the scout regiment. Fight for our future beyond these walls. The commander's speech continued, unflinchingly honest about the dangers they would face. The brutal casualty rates. The likelihood of death. As he spoke, the crowd's enthusiasm dimmed, faces growing pale, some cadets trembling visibly. When Erwin finished by asking those willing to join to remain while others could depart without shame, the exodus was immediate and substantial. Of the dozens who had gathered, only a handful remained, Goku and his close friends, plus a few others including Reiner, Berthold, Connie, Sasha, Krista, and Emer. I thought more would run, Jean muttered from beside Goku. His presence was surprising. Jean had always spoken of joining the military police, seeking safety in the interior. Why did you stay? Goku asked quietly. Jean's eyes hardened. Marco died at Trost. He wanted to serve the king, make a difference. I'm doing this for him. Goku nodded, remembering the freckled boy's kind smile. So many had died that day. Yet here they stood, volunteering for more danger, more death. Erwin surveyed the small group that remained, his blue eyes intense. Your courage will not be forgotten, he said simply. Dedicate your hearts. The new recruits saluted as one, fists clenched over hearts. Sir. As they were dismissed to prepare for departure to Scout headquarters, Captain Levi approached Goku and Aaron. Humanity's strongest soldier was shorter than expected, but his presence was undeniable, a coiled tension, like a predator at rest. Jaeger, Reichardt, he said, his voice flat. Commander Erwin wants you both at headquarters immediately. Special transport's been arranged. Sir. Aaron questioned. What about your stuff will be brought later. Levi cut him off. This isn't a request. They followed Levi to a waiting carriage, where they found Erwin and Hang already seated inside. As they pulled away from the training grounds, Erwin fixed them both with an evaluating stare. We need to discuss your abilities, he said without preamble. Both of you. Goku and Aaron exchanged glances. The moment of reckoning had arrived. Aaron's situation is already established, Erwin continued. He can transform into a Titan, a power we're still studying. But you, Reichardt, multiple witnesses reported you flying without ODM gear during Trost. Shooting energy from your hands. Displaying strength that no human should possess. Hang leaned forward, eyes gleaming with excitement behind their glasses. Is it true? Can you really fly? How does it work? Is it biological? Mechanical? Some form of gas propulsion? Calm down, Four Eyes, Levi muttered. Let him answer. Goku took a deep breath. He'd known this conversation was inevitable. After Trost, there was no more hiding what he could do. But how much should he reveal? It's true, he said finally. I can fly. And the other things, the strength, the energy, those are true too. Show us, Erwin said, his tone making it clear this wasn't a request. The carriage was cramped, but Goku raised his hand, palm up. Focusing his ki, he generated a small ball of blue energy that illuminated their faces in its ethereal glow. Hang gasped, hands flying to their face in delight. Incredible. It's like nothing I've ever seen. What is it? How are you generating it? It's ki energy, Goku explained, letting the ball dissipate. It's inside everyone, I think. I've just learned to use it. Bullshit, Levi said bluntly. If everyone had that, we'd know about it. Erwin raised a hand to silence him. Where did you learn to do this, Rykart? Who taught you? Here was the critical question. How much of his origins should Goku reveal? These people were now his commanding officers, they deserved some truth. But the full story? I wasn't born normal, he began carefully. I've always been different. Stronger, faster. The tail is part of it. He unwrapped the furry appendage from around his waist, allowing it to move freely for the first time in front of military personnel. Hank's eyes widened to comical proportions. A prehensile tail. Fully functional. May I touch it? For science, of course. Better not, Goku said, rewrapping it quickly. It's sensitive. The tail aside, Erwin pressed, these abilities. You discovered them on your own. Goku hesitated, then decided on a partial truth. I had instruction. A device that taught me how to use my energy. I've been practicing in secret for years. A device? Hank's excitement reached new heights. What kind of device? Where is it? Can I study it? It's hidden, Goku said. And it's personal. A legacy from my birth parents. Erwin studied him for a long moment. You understand our position, Rykart. Humanity is fighting for survival. If you possess abilities that could help us win, we need to know everything about them. I understand, sir, Goku replied. And I want to help. That's why I joined the Scouts. But there are some things I'm still figuring out myself. The commander seemed to accept this, for now. Very well. From this point forward, you'll be assigned to Captain Levi's squad, along with Jaeger. Your abilities will be studied and developed under controlled conditions. In other words, Levi added Drilly, you're on a very short leash. Both of you. Eren, who had remained silent throughout the exchange, finally spoke up. Does this mean you trust us, Commander? Erwin's piercing blue eyes shifted to him. Trust is earned, Jaeger. Right now, you're both assets with unknown potential. Potentially dangerous assets. We'll see what you become. Scout Regiment headquarters was an old castle nestled within Wall Rose's territory. As they approached, Goku took in the worn stone towers and spacious grounds, surrounded by dense forest, perfect for training away from prying eyes. They were shown to the basement, which had been converted into a secured sleeping area for Eren. A second bed had been added for Goku. Home sweet home, Levi said without humor. You'll sleep here, under guard. Any transformation, he looked pointedly at Eren, or unexplained energy blasts, now at Goku, without authorization will be considered a threat. Clear. Yes, sir, they responded in unison. Good. Rest up. Hang wants to begin experiments tomorrow. And I want this place spotless, dust bunnies are unacceptable. After Levi departed, Eren collapsed onto his bed with a heavy sigh. So we're lab rats now. Could be worse, Goku replied, sitting on his own bed. At least they want to understand our abilities instead of just executing us outright. Eren stared at the ceiling. Why didn't you tell me sooner? About what you can do. Same reason you didn't tell anyone you could turn into a Titan, Goku said with a half-smile. Hard to work that into casual conversation. A reluctant grin crossed Eren's face. Fair enough. He turned serious again. But you knew for years, right? About your powers. Yeah. But I didn't understand them fully. Still don't. Goku hesitated. There's more I haven't told anyone, Eren. Not even Mikasa and Armin know everything. About what you are. Eren's green eyes held no judgment, only curiosity. Where you came from? Goku nodded. The truth is, I don't think I'm from this world at all. He explained about the pod that had brought him as a baby, about the device left by Bardock, about being a scion, a warrior race from another planet. As he spoke, Aaron's expression shifted from disbelief to wonder. So you're saying you're an alien? Aaron tested the unfamiliar word. I guess that's one way to put it. Aaron sat up, running a hand through his hair. That's a lot. But honestly, after everything that's happened, finding out my friend is from another planet isn't even the strangest thing I've heard this month. Goku laughed, relief washing through him. Thanks for not freaking out. Are you going to tell the commanders? Some of it, maybe. Not everything, not yet. Goku looked at his hands. I'm still figuring out what it means, being a scion on this world. The device said we were sent to conquer planets, but that's not who I am. No, Aaron agreed firmly. It's not. You're Goku. You saved people at Trost. That's what matters. A comfortable silence fell between them, broken only when Aaron spoke again, his voice quieter. Do you think there are others like us? People with abilities? Goku thought of Annie, Reiner, and Bertholdt, their secretive behavior, their unusual skills. Maybe, he said. Maybe more than we realize. The next morning, they were escorted to a clearing in the nearby forest where Hang waited, surrounded by equipment, notebooks, and several nervous-looking assistants. Welcome to the laboratory. Hang exclaimed, arms spread wide. Well, outdoor laboratory. We thought it safer, considering the nature of your abilities. Levi stood nearby, arms crossed, looking thoroughly bored. Behind him, the rest of his squad, Petra, Aluo, ELD, and Gunther, watched with varying degrees of curiosity and apprehension. We'll start with you, Aaron, Hang continued. Try transforming into your Titan form, but maintain control. Focus on a specific goal, like picking up that spoon without breaking it. They pointed to a silver spoon lying on a stump. Aaron nodded, stepping forward. He bit his hand hard, drawing blood, the trigger they discovered for his transformation. Lightning crackled, steam erupted, and within seconds, the 15-meter Titan stood in Aaron's place, muscular and fearsome. The transformation itself was impressive, but what followed was less so. Aaron's Titan form struggled with fine motor control, repeatedly crushing the spoon or missing it entirely. After an hour of attempts, Hang called for him to exit the Titan. Fascinating, they declared, scribbling furiously in a notebook as Aaron emerged, exhausted, from the dissolving Titan body. Control improves with practice but deteriorates with time spent transformed. Let's take a break while I process these findings. As Aaron rested, Hang turned their attention to Goku. Now, let's see what you can do. Start simple, show me this flying ability. Goku stepped into the center of the clearing, conscious of all eyes upon him. He focused his ki, directing it downward, and slowly rose into the air until he hovered 10 feet off the ground. Incredible! Hang shouted, nearly dropping their notebook in excitement. No visible means of propulsion. Are you manipulating air currents? Creating some form of upward thrust? It's ki manipulation, Goku explained, descending. I focus my energy below me to push against gravity. Can anyone learn this? Petra asked, her eyes wide with wonder. Goku shrugged. Theoretically, maybe. But it takes a lot of training to control your ki. And mine is, stronger than most. Show us the energy projection next, Hang requested. Goku extended his hand, generating a small ki blast that he directed at a designated target, a dead tree 20 yards away. The blue energy sphere hit with precise accuracy, exploding on impact and reducing the upper branches to splinters. Levi's squad tensed, hands moving toward their blades instinctively. Control your output, Levi warned. You nearly hit Aluo with that debris. Sorry, Goku said, embarrassed. I'm still working on fine-tuning the power. The experiments continued throughout the day. Hang tested the limits of Goku's strength, he lifted a wagon with one hand, his speed, he outran a horse, and his endurance, he completed 500 push-ups without breaking a sweat. With each demonstration, their excitement grew, pages of notes filling several notebooks. "One final test for today," Hang said as the sun began to set. "Combat application. Let's see how your abilities function against an opponent." Levi stepped forward, drawing his blades. "I'll handle this." Goku blinked in surprise. He was about to spar with humanity's strongest soldier. Despite the seriousness of the situation, he felt a surge of excitement, the scion in him responding to the challenge. "Hand to hand only," Erwin instructed, having arrived to observe the later tests. "No blades, no energy blasts. Just assess each other's capabilities." They squared off in the center of the clearing. Levi was shorter than Goku by nearly a head, but his stance held perfect balance, his eyes calculating and cold. "Don't hold back too much," Levi said quietly. "I want to know what we're working with." Goku nodded, dropping into a fighting stance. "Understood, Captain." Levi attacked without warning, his speed startling even to Goku. The captain's fist shot toward his face with precision born from years of combat. Goku blocked, the impact jarring despite his enhanced strength. They exchanged blows at increasing speed, neither landing a clean hit. Levi moved like water, flowing around Goku's strikes, countering with devastatingly fast combinations. Though lacking Goku's raw power, his technique was flawless, the result of surviving countless battles against overwhelming odds. Gradually, Goku increased his speed and strength, testing Levi's limits. The captain adapted instantly, his expression never changing even as sweat began to bead on his forehead. When Goku channeled a small amount of ki to enhance his movements, Levi somehow sensed the change and adjusted accordingly. After 15 minutes of increasingly intense combat, Erwin called a halt. Both fighters stepped back, breathing hard but neither injured. "Impressive," Erwin noted, stroking his chin thoughtfully. "Levi, your assessment?" The captain wiped his brow. "He's holding back significantly. But even at partial strength, his capabilities exceed normal human limits. With proper training, he could be useful." Coming from Levi, this was high praise. "And your assessment of the captain, Reichardt?" Erwin asked. Goku looked at Levi with newfound respect. "He's the most skilled fighter I've ever faced. What he lacks in raw power compared to me, he makes up for in technique and instinct." Levi's expression remained neutral, but something like satisfaction flickered in his eyes. "Good," Erwin said with a nod. "You'll train together regularly. Levi will help refine your combat techniques, while you, Reichardt, will work on controlling and developing your unique abilities." As they walked back to headquarters, Heng babbled excitedly about further experiments, theories about ki energy, and potential military applications of both Aaron's and Goku's abilities. Behind them, Erwin and Levi spoke in low tones. "What do you think?" Erwin asked quietly. "The kid's not human," Levi replied bluntly. "At least, not entirely. But he's not a threat, not to us. He could have killed me at any point during that spar if he'd wanted to. And yet he follows orders, shows restraint." Erwin's eyes remained on Goku's back. "Interesting, don't you think?" "What are you planning, Erwin?" Levi asked, recognizing the calculating tone in his commander's voice. "The same as always, Levi. Finding a path to victory." Erwin's expression hardened. "And these two might just be the weapons we need to forge that path." The weeks that followed established a new routine. Mornings were dedicated to regular scout training, ODM gear practice, formation drills, physical conditioning. Afternoons belonged to Hang and their experiments, pushing the boundaries of both Aaron's Titan abilities and Goku's ki manipulation. For Goku, the opportunity to train openly with his full capabilities was liberating. No more sneaking away at night, no more holding back during exercises. Under Hank's enthusiastic guidance and Levi's exacting standards, his control improved dramatically. His flying became more precise, his energy attacks more focused, his combat techniques more refined. Aaron's progress was slower but steady. His Titan transformations became more controlled, though he still struggled with extended periods in Titan form. The mental and physical toll of each transformation left him exhausted, but his determination never wavered. The other new recruits arrived a week after Goku and Aaron, settling into the routine of Scout Regiment life. Though officially assigned to other squads, Mikasa and Armin spent much of their free time with Aaron and Goku, often observing their special training sessions. "It's amazing," Armin said one evening as they sat together in the mess hall. "The control you're developing, Goku. The way you can direct your energy now." Earlier that day, Goku had demonstrated a new technique, firing multiple ki blasts simultaneously at different targets with perfect accuracy. Even Levi had seemed impressed. "It's getting easier," Goku admitted. "Like a muscle that grows stronger with use. The more I practice, the more intuitive it becomes." "I wish my Titan abilities worked that way," Aaron said, frustration evident in his voice. "Every transformation feels like I'm fighting against it, trying not to lose myself." Mikasa placed a hand on his arm. "You're making progress. Hang said your control improves each time." "Not fast enough," Aaron muttered. "We're supposed to be humanity's weapons against the Titans, but I can barely pick up a spoon without crushing it." "Hey," Goku said, leaning forward. "Remember when we first started ODM training? How I kept falling because of my tail throwing off my balance. It takes time to adapt to new abilities." The conversation shifted as Jean approached their table, tray in hand. Relations between him and Aaron remained tense, but they'd reached a kind of grudging respect since joining the scouts together. "Word is we're heading beyond the walls soon," Jean said as he sat down. "A major expedition. The commander announced it to the squad leaders this morning." Armin's eyes widened. "So soon? We've barely completed basic scout training." "Apparently there's some forest location Erwin wants to reach," Jean continued. "Something about testing new formation strategies." "And testing us," Aaron added quietly. "Me and Goku. They want to see how our abilities perform outside the walls, in real combat." None of them could dispute this. The intense focus on developing their powers had an obvious purpose: preparation for deployment against the Titans in their natural territory. Later that night, unable to sleep as usual, Goku slipped out of the basement and onto the castle roof. The night was clear, stars scattered across the sky like distant lanterns. He stared up at them, wondering if one of those tiny lights was the planet Vegeta that Bardock had spoken of, his original home, long destroyed. "Can't sleep?" a voice asked from behind him. Goku turned to find Captain Levi approaching, a cup of tea in hand despite the late hour. "I don't need much sleep," Goku explained. "Another quirk of mine." Levi nodded, unsurprised. He moved to the edge of the roof, sitting with his legs dangling over the side. After a moment, Goku joined him. "You're not from here, are you?" Levi asked suddenly, his eyes still on the stars. Goku tensed. "Sir. Not just from outside the walls," Levi clarified. "From somewhere else entirely." He gestured vaguely toward the sky. "Out there." For a long moment, Goku considered denying it. But something in Levi's calm certainty made lies seem pointless. "How did you know?" "Little things. The way you sometimes look confused by basic customs. How you stare at the sky when you think no one's watching. The fact that your abilities defy everything we understand about human capabilities." Levi took a sip of his tea. "Plus, Erwin had your background investigated. There's no record of your birth in any district. Just an adoption by the Reichardt family after a mysterious crash near their farm." Goku sighed. He should have expected as much from the methodical commander. "Are you going to report this conversation to him?" "Probably." Levi's bluntness was oddly reassuring. "But not everything, necessarily. Depends on what you say." "I'm called a scion," Goku said after a pause. From a planet called Vegeta. I was sent here as a baby, just before my homeworld was destroyed. Why were you sent? This was the part Goku had always struggled with, the uncomfortable truth about his people's purpose. Scions were conquerors. They sent infants to planets to eventually prepare them for takeover. To his credit, Levi didn't react beyond a slight raising of eyebrows. So you were supposed to help subjugate humanity? That was the plan, apparently. But I was raised by good people. They taught me compassion, kindness. That's who I am, not whatever the Scions wanted me to be. Levi nodded slowly. Nature versus nurture. An old debate. You're taking this remarkably well, Goku observed. Kid, I've seen Titans devour my friends. I've watched Eren transform into one of those monsters and back again. At this point, an alien with a tail barely registers on my scale of weird shit. Despite everything, Goku laughed. Levi's deadpan delivery had a way of cutting through tension. So what will you tell Commander Erwin? Levi shrugged. That you're committed to humanity's cause. That your abilities are genuine and valuable. That your origins are complicated but not immediately relevant to our mission. He finished his tea. The rest is up to you to disclose when you're ready. Thank you, Goku said, surprised by the captain's unexpected consideration. Don't thank me yet, Levi replied, standing. The expedition beyond the walls is coming soon. That's when we'll see what you're really made of. Both of you. As Levi departed, leaving Goku alone with the stars, a strange feeling settled over him, something between dread and anticipation. Beyond the walls lay both danger and possibility. The chance to fight Titans on their own territory. The opportunity to truly test his limits. And perhaps, though he hardly dared to hope for it, some clue about whether he was truly alone in this world, the only scion on a planet of humans and Titans. The 57th Exterior Scouting Mission was announced formally 3 days later. The target, a giant forest some 50 kilometers beyond Wall Rose. The purpose, officially, to establish a supply route for future expeditions, unofficially, to test new formations and evaluate the combat potential of their two special assets, the Titan Shifter and the Key Wielder. Preparations intensified immediately. Equipment was checked and rechecked. Horses were conditioned for long-distance travel, and the newer recruits received crash courses in the Scout Regiment's long-range scouting formation, a complex system designed to maximize visibility while minimizing casualties from Titan encounters. Each colored flare has a specific meaning, Armin explained to his fellow rookies during one briefing. Black for an abnormal Titan, red for a regular Titan, green for course changes, purple for emergency. And will be spread out across a huge area, right? Connie asked, studying the formation diagram. What happens if we get separated? Trust the signal flares and follow their guidance, Armin replied. The formation is designed to adapt to threats without falling apart completely. Goku and Eren had their own special briefing with Commander Erwin, Captain Levi, and Squad Leader Hang. You'll both ride with Levi's squad in the center formation, Erwin explained, indicating their position on the map. This provides maximum protection while keeping you close enough to respond if needed. When do we use our abilities? Eren asked. Do we transform at the first sign of Titans? No, Levi said firmly. You transform only on my direct order. Same for you, Rykart, no flying or energy blasts unless I authorize it. But sir, Goku protested, if soldiers are in danger, then we follow protocol, Levi cut him off. This isn't just about killing Titans. It's about testing how your abilities integrate with our existing strategies. Rogue actions could endanger the entire formation. Erwin nodded in agreement. We need to learn how to deploy you effectively without disrupting our established tactics. This expedition is as much about that as it is about reaching the forest. Though frustrated by the restrictions, both Goku and Eren understood the logic. Their powers were new variables in the Scout Regiment's carefully balanced equation, powerful but unpredictable. Integration would take time and testing. The night before departure, tension filled the scout headquarters. Veterans prepared with quiet efficiency, while many rookies struggled with pre-mission anxiety. Death was a very real possibility beyond the walls, and everyone knew it. Goku found Mikasa alone in the training yard, methodically sharpening her blades despite the late hour. "Trouble sleeping?" he asked, sitting beside her on the bench. "Just being thorough," she replied, not looking up from her work. After a pause, she added, "I'm worried about tomorrow." "About Eren. He'll be with Levi's squad. They're the best. I should be with him." The edge in her voice was sharp as her blade. "I can protect him." "Mikasa," Goku said gently, "Eren needs to learn to control his power on his own terms. And the formation needs your skills where they've assigned you." She finally looked up, her dark eyes reflecting the moonlight. "What about you? Are you worried?" "Not about myself," he admitted. "But for everyone else?" "Yeah. Because you're different," she stated simply. It wasn't a question. Goku nodded. Of all his friends, Mikasa perhaps understood him best, what it meant to be physically different, to possess strength others couldn't comprehend. Though the sources of their abilities were vastly different, the experience of being set apart created a kinship between them. "Just, keep an eye on Armin tomorrow," he said. "And Jean and the others. I'll watch over Eren as best I can." Mikasa nodded, returning to her blades. "We'll all come back," she said with quiet determination. "All of us." Goku wished he shared her certainty. Dawn broke clear and bright on the day of the expedition. The scout regiment assembled at the Karen's district gate, horses stamping impatiently, soldiers performing final equipment checks. Green cloaks billowed in the morning breeze, the wings of freedom emblazoned proudly on their backs. Goku sat astride his horse, a specially selected stallion strong enough to carry his unusual weight, near the center of the formation alongside Levi's squad. Eren rode nearby, his expression a mixture of determination and nervousness. "Remember," Levi said to his squad as they waited for the signal to advance, "our primary mission is protection. We keep these two secure until the commander decides to deploy them." "Yes, Captain," the squad responded in unison. Petra, the only woman in Levi's elite team, offered Goku and Eren an encouraging smile. "Stay close to us. We work together seamlessly, you'll see." Aluo, attempting to emulate Levi's aloof demeanor, merely sniffed. "Just don't get in our way, rookies. Especially you, monkey boy." He'd taken to calling Goku that after learning about his tale. "Enough chatter," Levi ordered as Commander Erwin raised his arm at the front of the formation. "Here we go. Advance." Erwin's command echoed down the ranks. The gate groaned open, revealing the open land beyond, a vast expanse of rolling plains and distant forests untouched by human civilization for over a century. The scout regiment surged forward, horses thundering across the threshold from safety into Titan territory. For the first hour, they rode in tight formation. Then, at Erwin's signal, they expanded into the long-range scouting formation, squads separating to cover more ground, relay runners positioned to maintain communication across the widening gaps. Goku marveled at the precision of it all. From their position in the center, he could see colored smoke signals rising from various points along the formation's edges, mostly green as course adjustments were made, occasionally red when Titans were spotted. "The outer squads are engaging," ELD Jin, Levi's second-in-command, noted as distant sounds of combat reached them. "Diverting Titans away from our path." Levi nodded grimly. "Standard procedure. We maintain course unless ordered otherwise." Goku's enhanced hearing picked up more than the others, the screams of soldiers dying as Titans broke through the outer defense, the crunch of bones, the wet sounds of bodies being torn apart. Each death tightened the knot in his stomach. He could help them. With his speed and strength, he could save those soldiers. As if reading his thoughts, Levi spoke without turning. Stay in formation, Rykart. Those men and women knew the risks. Their sacrifices protect our primary objective. Which is what, exactly? Goku asked, unable to keep the edge from his voice. You still haven't told us the real purpose of this mission. You'll know when you need to know, Levi replied simply. They rode onward, the formation adapting around them as reports came in. Black smoke signals indicated abnormal titans that couldn't be easily diverted. The center column shifted course several times to avoid these unpredictable threats. 4 hours into the expedition, something changed. Multiple black signals rose from the right flank, followed by an unusual pattern of green signals directing a significant course change. Something's wrong, Gunther Schultz, another of Levi's veterans, observed. That's not standard protocol for a normal Titan encounter. Levi's eyes narrowed as he scanned the horizon. Be ready. This may be what the commander was expecting. Sir? Eren questioned. Before Levi could respond, a rider approached at full gallop, one of the commander's relay messengers. Captain Levi, the messenger shouted. Emergency message from Commander Erwin. A female Titan has breached the right flank. Heading directly toward the center column. A female Titan? Petra repeated, confusion evident in her voice. An abnormal with female characteristics, the messenger clarified breathlessly. Intelligent, extremely fast, ignoring other targets to head straight for your position. Goku and Eren exchanged alarmed glances. An intelligent Titan specifically targeting their location. There was only one reason for that, it was after one of them. Orders? Levi asked calmly. Proceed to the forest of giant trees at maximum speed, the messenger replied. Draw the female Titan in. Commander Erwin has a plan. Levi nodded once. Relay understood. Return to your position. As the messenger galloped away, he turned to his squad. You heard the orders. Full speed to the forest. No engagement with the female Titan unless absolutely necessary. They urged their horses to a gallop, racing toward the distant tree line that had appeared on the horizon. Behind them, chaos spread through the formation as word of the female Titan's approach spread. More black smoke signals appeared, tracking its path as it cut through the right flank, leaving devastation in its wake. It's killing experienced soldiers like they're nothing, Aluo muttered, glancing back at the smoke. What kind of monster are we dealing with? One that knows exactly what it's doing, Levi replied grimly. This isn't a mindless abnormal. It's hunting. Goku focused his senses backward, trying to detect this new threat. What he felt sent a chill down his spine, a familiar energy signature, one he recognized but couldn't immediately place. Somewhere, beneath the Titan's power, was something, someone, he knew. As they neared the forest of giant trees, massive conifers hundreds of feet tall, their trunks wider than houses, the sounds of pursuit grew louder. Heavy footsteps, each impact shaking the ground. The female Titan was gaining on them. Into the forest. Levi ordered as they reached the enormous trees. Stay on the central path. The change from open plains to dense forest was jarring. Massive trunks created a labyrinth of natural columns, their canopies so high and thick that the forest floor existed in perpetual twilight. The central path, clearly an established route used by previous expeditions, wound between these giants. Captain, Eren called, anxiety evident in his voice, shouldn't I transform? Help fight this thing? No, Levi replied sharply. Stick to the plan. Keep moving forward. Frustration showed on Eren's face, but he obeyed, urging his horse onward. The thundering footsteps behind them grew louder, closer. Goku glanced back and caught his first glimpse of their pursuer, a female-proportioned Titan, perhaps 15 meters tall, with short blonde hair and exposed muscle tissue instead of skin. Unlike most Titans, its movements were coordinated, deliberate, chillingly human. But what struck Goku most was its eyes, intelligent, focused, utterly unlike the vacant stares of normal titans. And within those eyes, a cold determination he had seen before. "Annie," he whispered, the realization hitting him like a physical blow. "What was that?" Levi asked sharply. Before Goku could respond, the female titan burst into full view behind them, its pace accelerating as it spotted their squad. "It's gaining on us!" Petra shouted, fear evident in her voice despite her training. "Hold course," Levi ordered calmly. "We're almost there." "Almost where?" Eren demanded, looking around wildly. "Captain, please. Let me fight." Goku's mind raced. If the female titan was indeed Annie Leonhardt, one of their fellow cadets from the 104th, that would explain its intelligence, its fighting ability, its specific targeting of their squad. But why? What was Annie after? The answer came to him in a flash. Eren. She wanted Eren, the only known human who could transform into a titan. Perhaps to capture him. Perhaps to kill him. Either way, he couldn't let that happen. "Captain," Goku said urgently, "I know who." His words were cut off by a sound like a massive crossbow firing. From hidden positions among the trees, dozens of grappling hooks shot out, trailing thick cables that wrapped around the female titan's limbs, torso, and neck. Within seconds, the massive creature was immobilized, cables pulling taut to anchor it in place. "The trap," Levi said with satisfaction. "Right on schedule." Ahead, Commander Erwin and a squad of veterans waited beside the firing mechanisms for the trap, specialized ODM gear modified to fire the heavy-duty restraints. "Levi's squad, continue past the commander's position and await further orders," Levi instructed as they approached. "The rest of us will assist with securing the Titan." "Captain," Goku protested, "I should stay." "I think I know who. Your orders are to continue with Eren," Levi cut him off. "Aluo, Petra, Eld, Gunther, make sure they both reach the designated point." The four veterans saluted. "Yes, Captain." As Levi broke off to join Erwin, the rest of the squad continued deeper into the forest. Goku looked back at the captured female titan. Even restrained, there was something unnervingly determined about its posture, as though it was simply waiting for the right moment. "I don't like this," he muttered to Eren as they rode. "Something feels wrong." Eren nodded, his face tense. "Why not just let us fight it? Between your abilities and my Titan form, we could take it down for sure." "Because the commander wants it captured, not killed," Eld explained from ahead. "This is about gathering intelligence, not just eliminating a threat." They reached a small clearing about a kilometer past the trap site, where several support wagons and fresh horses waited. Clearly, this had been the planned destination all along. "We'll hold here," Gunther announced as they dismounted. "Captain Levi will join us once the female Titan is secure." Petra approached Goku and Eren. "You two did well following orders. I know it must be frustrating, having abilities you're not allowed to use." "I just want to help," Eren said, staring back toward where they'd left the female Titan. "If that thing breaks free," a distant roar interrupted him, a sound of rage and determination that echoed through the massive trees. Moments later, multiple flares shot into the air above the canopy, purple emergency signals. "Something's wrong," Aluo said, drawing his blades. "The Titan, it's free," Goku stated with certainty, his enhanced senses picking up the sounds of combat and screaming from the trap site. "And it's coming this way again." Gunther made a quick decision. "Eld, Petra, get Eren onto a fresh horse and head deeper into the forest. Aluo and I will create a perimeter defense here." He turned to Goku. "Reichardt, I'm staying," Goku said firmly. "Captain Levi restricted my abilities, but he's not here. And I'm the best chance we have of stopping that thing." Gunther hesitated, clearly torn between following orders and recognizing the truth of Goku's words. "Fine. But stay within visual range. If the captain arrives with new orders, you follow them immediately." Goku nodded, already focusing his ki. He could feel the female titan approaching rapidly, its energy signature unmistakable now. Annie. But why? What was her goal? The answer came in the form of an agonized scream from the direction Eren had been taken. Gunther's head snapped around. That was Petra. Without waiting for permission, Goku launched himself into the air, abandoning all pretense of using ODM gear. He flew between the massive trees, following the sound of combat. What he found turned his blood cold. The female titan had somehow circled around their position, intercepting Eren's escape route. Petra's broken body lay at the base of a tree, while ELD hung limply from his ODM wires, torn in half. The titan stood over Eren, who was scrambling to escape, bleeding from a head wound that was hampering his ability to transform. Annie! Goku shouted, hovering at eye level with the titan. Stop this! The female titan froze, its crystalline blue eyes fixing on him with what could only be described as shock. For a moment, recognition flickered in those inhuman eyes. Goku pressed his advantage. I know it's you, Annie. Why are you doing this? We were comrades. The moment of hesitation passed. The female titan lunged, not for Eren, but for Goku, its hand hardening with a crystalline substance as it swung at him. Goku dodged easily, his aerial mobility giving him a crucial advantage. Get Eren out of here, he shouted to Aluo and Gunther, who had just arrived. I'll handle this. The two veterans didn't argue, quickly retrieving the dazed Eren and retreating into the forest. The female titan moved to follow, but Goku cut off its path, firing a warning ki blast that exploded at its feet. Your fight is with me now, he declared, gathering more energy between his palms. Kemifemiche. The blue beam struck the titan's shoulder, blasting away a chunk of hardened flesh. Steam erupted from the wound as the creature staggered back, clearly surprised by the power of the attack. But instead of fleeing, it adapted, crouching in a fighting stance that confirmed Goku's suspicions. This was definitely Annie's combat style. What followed was an aerial ballet of destruction. Goku flew circles around the female titan, firing ki blasts to keep it off balance while avoiding its lightning-fast strikes. The titan countered by using the massive trees for leverage, launching itself in unexpected directions, its hardened fists and feet capable of shattering tree trunks when they missed their primary target. Why, Annie? Goku called during a brief pause in their battle. What are you trying to accomplish? The titan merely roared in response, redoubling its efforts to capture him. One swing came perilously close, forcing Goku to block rather than dodge. The impact sent him crashing through a tree trunk, pain flaring across his arms where he'd blocked the crystalline fist. Recovering quickly, he retaliated with a more powerful attack, concentrating his ki into a focused beam that pierced the titan's abdomen. The creature howled, steam pouring from the wound, but kept advancing, kept pursuing Eren's trail. Its single-minded determination made one thing clear: Annie wouldn't stop until she had Eren. Whatever her mission was, it centered on him. Frustrated, Goku decided to change tactics. If he couldn't stop her through direct combat, perhaps he could reason with the human inside. Flying directly in front of the titan's face, he hovered just out of reach. Annie, listen to me. Whatever you're trying to do, this isn't the way. People are dying, our friends are dying. For just a moment, the titan hesitated, something like conflict passing through its eyes. Then, unexpectedly, it changed direction, away from Eren's escape route and toward the edge of the forest instead. It was retreating. Oh no you don't, Goku muttered, giving chase. He wouldn't let Annie escape, not after she'd killed Petra and ELD, not when she clearly posed a threat to Eren and the entire scout regiment. The female titan burst from the forest onto open ground, accelerating to a full sprint. Goku kept pace easily, peppering it with ki blasts to slow its progress. One shot struck its ankle, causing it to stumble momentarily, enough for him to get ahead and face it directly. This ends now, he declared, gathering his energy for a more powerful attack. The blue light built between his palms, illuminating the area as the sun began to set behind the distant walls. Kamiche, a flash of movement interrupted his attack. Captain Levi, using his ODM gear to reach unprecedented heights, spinning through the air like a lethal top. Before either Goku or the female Titan could react, Levi's blade sliced through the Titan's arms, legs, and finally the nape of its neck with surgical precision. The massive body collapsed, steam rising as Levi landed on its back, blades poised to strike again if necessary. Goku descended, landing beside the captain. "I had it under control," he said, unable to keep a note of frustration from his voice. "You disobeyed orders," Levi replied coolly. "But you bought us time. Eren is secure." "Captain," the female Titan, "it's Annie Leonhardt. From our training corps." Levi's eyes narrowed. "You're certain?" "Positive. I recognized her fighting style, her energy signature. And she responded when I called her by name." Before Levi could respond, the Titan's body began to emit enormous amounts of steam, far more than normal decomposition would produce. The temperature around them spiked dramatically. "She's trying to escape in the steam cloud," Levi realized. Just like the colossal Titan did at Trost. Goku concentrated, using his key sense to locate the human form within the rapidly disintegrating Titan body. There, at the nape, a figure was emerging, trying to use the cover of steam to flee. Without waiting for orders, Goku launched himself into the cloud, heat searing his skin as he pushed through the scalding vapor. He caught a glimpse of blonde hair, blue eyes wide with shock as he appeared before her, Annie, halfway extracted from the Titan flesh that had encased her. "It's over, Annie," he said, reaching for her. But Annie hadn't survived this long by giving up easily. Her hand, still connected to the Titan's nervous system, suddenly hardened with crystal. She slashed at Goku, catching him across the chest, drawing blood for the first time in their confrontation. The pain was sharp, unexpected. Goku recoiled instinctively, his Saiyan blood responding to the threat in a way he hadn't anticipated. Something primal stirred within him, a rage deeper than anything he'd felt before, coupled with a strange energy that seemed to pulse in rhythm with his beating heart. He looked up at the darkening sky, where the first stars were appearing alongside a full moon that hung heavy on the horizon. "Get out of there, Reichardt." Levi's voice called from beyond the steam. "Something's happening to you." Goku felt it, a transformation beginning at his core. His heart rate accelerated, his muscles bulged, his vision tinged red. The Saiyan device had warned of this, the great ape transformation triggered by the full moon. But he'd always been so careful to avoid looking directly at it. Until now. "No," he gasped, fighting the change. "Not here, not now." Annie, seeing his distress, seized the opportunity to fully extract herself from the Titan body. She fired her ODM gear, hooks embedding in a distant tree as she made her escape. The pain of the transformation intensified. Goku felt his body growing, changing, his consciousness being submerged beneath primal Saiyan instincts. But with a tremendous effort of will, he fought back, containing the transformation to a partial state, larger, more ape-like, covered in reddish fur, but still recognizably himself. Still in control. With a roar that was half human, half beast, the partially transformed Goku launched himself after Annie. His speed in this form was devastating. One moment he was in the steam cloud, the next he was upon her, catching her ODM wire and yanking her back before she could reach the tree line. Annie crashed to the ground, immediately rolling to her feet in a fighting stance. But her confident expression faltered when she saw what faced her, Goku, now 7 feet tall, muscular body covered in red-brown fur, face elongated into something between human and ape, tail lashing behind him. What are you?" she whispered, genuine fear in her voice for the first time. Goku's voice came out deeper, rougher. "Someone who wants answers." "Why, Annie? Why attack us? Why target Eren?" For a moment, it seemed she might actually respond. Something like regret flashed across her face. But then, her expression hardened, her stance shifted. She bit into her hand, drawing blood, the trigger for transformation. Not again, Goku growled, lunging forward with his enhanced speed. Before the lightning could strike, before Annie could transform again, Goku's fist connected with her jaw. The blow was calculated, enough force to knock her unconscious without killing her. Annie crumpled, the transformation interrupted. As she fell, Goku caught her, his partial great ape form already beginning to recede as he exerted his will over the transformation. By the time Levi and the surviving members of his squad arrived, Goku was nearly back to normal, though his uniform hung in tatters from his expanded and then contracted frame. "Secure her," Levi ordered as his soldiers approached cautiously. "Hands, feet, and mouth. We can't risk another transformation attempt." As they bound Annie's unconscious form, Levi turned to Goku. "What was that? Another ability you neglected to mention?" "It's called the Great Ape Transformation," Goku explained, exhaustion evident in his voice. "Triggered by the full moon. I've always been careful to avoid it before." "Convenient timing," Levi noted drily. "Not really. I nearly lost control. If I had fully transformed." Goku shuddered at the thought. The Scion device had shown him what a full great ape was capable of, mindless destruction on a scale that rivaled even the colossal titan. "But you didn't," Erwin's voice came from behind them as the commander approached, surveying the scene. "You maintained control, just as Eren is learning to do with his titan form." Goku looked up at the commander. "Sir, Annie was after Eren." "I'm certain of it. But I don't know why." "Perhaps we'll get answers once she's properly detained," Erwin replied, his calculating gaze moving from Annie's bound form to Goku. "Although I suspect she isn't working alone." The implication hung in the air. If Annie was a titan shifter like Eren, were there others hiding among them? The thought chilled Goku to the bone. The journey back to Wall Rose was tense and somber. The 57th expedition had succeeded in capturing the female titan, but at a terrible cost, nearly 30% casualties, including most of Levi's elite squad. Petra, ELD, and many others would never return. Annie remained unconscious, heavily guarded in a reinforced wagon. Goku and Eren rode nearby, both subdued by the events of the day. Eren, upon learning of Annie's identity, had fallen into a shocked silence that persisted for hours. "I should have transformed," he muttered finally as Wall Rose appeared on the horizon. "If I had fought alongside you from the beginning, maybe Petra, and the others." "Don't," Goku said firmly. "We can't know what would have happened." Annie was prepared, determined. She might have been planning this for years. But why? "We trained together for 3 years. She was one of us." Goku had been asking himself the same question. During their midnight sparring sessions at the training camp, had Annie been assessing his abilities? Learning his weaknesses? Was every interaction part of some larger plan? And what about Reiner and Bertholdt, who had always been close to Annie? Their secretive behavior, their unusual skills, were they involved too? The scout regiment passed through the Karen's gate to a muted reception. News of their heavy losses had preceded them, dampening any celebration over the capture of the female titan. Relatives of the fallen waited with anguished expressions, searching the returning ranks for loved ones who would never come home. Annie was transferred to an underground holding facility beneath the military courthouse in Stohis district, where specialized restraints would prevent any transformation attempts when she regained consciousness. Hang oversaw the security arrangements personally, their scientific curiosity tempered by grim determination after witnessing the female titan's devastation firsthand. Goku, Eren, and the other survivors returned to Scout headquarters. The mood was somber, the halls quieter without Petra's cheerful voice or Aluo's boastful claims. That evening, Commander Erwin called a private meeting with his key officers and assets, Levi, Hang, Mike Zacharias, Eren, and Goku. "The female titan's capture raises more questions than it answers," Erwin began, standing before a map of the walls. Annie Leonhardt was a recent graduate of the 104th Training Corps, which means she infiltrated our military with a specific purpose. To get to Eren, Levi suggested. To capture or kill our Titan shifter. But why? Hang wondered. What makes Eren so valuable? Is it simply his Titan ability, or something more specific? Goku thought about what he'd seen during the battle, Annie's single-minded determination to capture Eren, her willingness to kill anyone who stood in her way, yet her hesitation when Goku had appealed to their shared history. She's not acting alone, he said suddenly, drawing everyone's attention. During training, Annie was close with two other cadets, Reiner Braun and Berthold Hoover. They always seemed separate from the rest of us. Like they shared a secret. Erwin's eyes narrowed. Are you suggesting they might also be Titan shifters? I can't prove it, Goku admitted. But their behavior was similar to Annie's, skilled beyond their years, watchful, sometimes disappearing together at night. Where are they now? Mike asked, his exceptional sense of smell making him valuable for tracking potential threats. Reiner and Berthold both joined the scout regiment, Eren said, realization dawning on his face. They're here, in this very castle. A tense silence fell over the room. We can't move against them without evidence, Erwin said finally. If they are infiltrators like Annie, confronting them directly might trigger transformations that would endanger everyone within these walls. So we watch them, Levi concluded. Gather evidence. Prepare a trap like we did for Annie, but better executed. Precisely. Erwin turned to Goku and Eren. This information stays in this room. Act normally around Reiner and Berthold. Give them no reason to suspect we're onto them. As the meeting concluded, Goku remained behind, wanting a private word with the commander. Sir, there's something else I need to tell you, he said once the others had departed. About what I am. About where I came from. Erwin regarded him steadily. Levi mentioned you had a conversation on the rooftop. Something about coming from beyond the stars. Yes, sir. I'm called a scion, from a warrior race on a planet called Vegeta. I was sent here as an infant, just before my world was destroyed. To Erwin's credit, his expression remained neutral as Goku explained his origins, the pod that brought him, the device that taught him about his heritage and abilities. When Goku finished, the commander was silent for a long moment, processing the information. So the partial transformation we witnessed during the expedition, this great ape form, it's part of your species biology? Yes, sir. Triggered by the full moon. But I can control it, at least partially. Erwin nodded thoughtfully. Your abilities have already proven invaluable to humanity, Reichardt. Or would you prefer Kakarot? Goku is fine, sir. It's who I've always been. Very well, Goku. I won't pretend to fully understand what you've told me. The concept of other worlds, other species, is beyond my expertise. But I know what I've seen you do. I know the courage you've shown. Erwin placed a hand on Goku's shoulder. Whatever your origins, you've chosen to fight for humanity. That's what matters. Thank you, sir. Now, get some rest. After Annie regains consciousness, we'll have interrogations to conduct. And if your suspicions about Reiner and Berthold prove correct, we'll need you at full strength for what comes next. 3 days passed with Annie still unconscious, or perhaps pretending to be. Hang reported that her vital signs were stable but that she showed no signs of waking, despite stimulants being administered. The delay increased tensions at Scout headquarters, where everyone waited for answers that seemed perpetually just out of reach. Goku divided his time between training, now focused on controlling his great ape transformation, and discreetly observing Reiner and Berthold. The two carried on as normal, participating in duties and training, showing appropriate solemnity about the expedition's casualties. Nothing in their behavior suggested guilt or complicity in Annie's actions. And yet, sometimes Goku caught Reiner staring at Eren with an intensity that went beyond normal concern for a comrade. Sometimes Bertholdt's eyes followed Goku himself with wary calculation. Small things, perhaps meaningless, or perhaps confirmations of his suspicions. On the fourth day after their return, news arrived. Annie had finally awakened. Erwin immediately organized a delegation to travel to the holding facility in Stohis, himself, Levi, Hang, Eren, and Goku. They departed within the hour, leaving Mike in charge at headquarters with instructions to maintain surveillance on the potential infiltrators. The underground holding facility was a grim place, windowless stone chambers lit by torches, heavy iron doors secured with multiple locks. Annie had been placed in the deepest level, in a cell specially reinforced to withstand Titan strength. They found her sitting calmly on a simple cot, hands and feet shackled with specially designed restraints. Her mouth was covered with a metal guard to prevent her biting herself to trigger transformation. Despite these indignities, her blue eyes remained cold and evaluating as they entered. "Remove the mouth guard," Erwin ordered the guards. "But be ready to reapply it at the first sign of trouble." Once Annie could speak, Erwin began the interrogation. Annie Leonhardt. Former member of the 104th Training Corps. Now revealed as the female Titan responsible for numerous Scout Regiment deaths. Do you deny these charges? Annie remained silent, her gaze drifting between her visitors, lingering on Eren and Goku. We have witnesses who saw you emerge from the female Titan's body, Erwin continued. Denials would be pointless. Then why ask? Annie finally spoke, her voice raspy from disuse. Courtesy, Erwin replied. Before we proceed to less comfortable questioning methods. Hang stepped forward, displaying several disturbing-looking implements. I've developed these specifically for Titan shifters. They work on principles similar to your own hardening ability. Quite effective, I'm told. It was a bluff. Hang hadn't had time to develop any such tools, but Annie didn't know that. What do you want to know? She asked, her expression unchanged despite the threat. Why target Eren? Levi asked directly. What makes him so important? Annie's eyes shifted to Eren. He has something we need. We. Erwin seized on the word. Who else is involved, Annie? A slight smile curved her lips. You already suspect, don't you? Or he does. She nodded toward Goku. Always watching, always sensing more than the others. Goku stepped forward. Reiner and Bertholdt. They're like you, aren't they? Titan shifters. Annie neither confirmed nor denied, but something flashed in her eyes, satisfaction, perhaps, at secrets partially revealed. Who sent you? Erwin pressed. Where are you from? At this, Annie actually laughed, a short, bitter sound. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. Your world is much smaller than you think. Try us, Goku challenged, meeting her gaze directly. I told them what I am, where I came from. Truth sounds unbelievable until you hear it. For the first time, Annie looked genuinely surprised. You told them about your abilities, your origins. Everything, Goku confirmed. No more secrets. Something shifted in Annie's expression, a crack in her cold facade. We come from beyond the walls, she said finally. From a place called Marley. We were sent to find the founding Titan, the coordinate that controls all others. Marley? Eren repeated, confusion evident in his voice. I've never heard of it. Of course you haven't, Annie replied. The king who built these walls erased your memories. Created a false history. You're not the last humans on Earth, just the last ones on this island, parody. The revelation landed like a physical blow. Erwin, normally unshakable, actually took a step back. Hank's mouth fell open in shock. Even Levi's perpetual scowl deepened. You expect us to believe that? Levi asked, skepticism heavy in his voice. I don't care what you believe, Annie said flatly. It's the truth. There's a whole world beyond these walls, beyond the ocean. Advanced civilization. Nations. Technology you can't imagine. And this Marley sent you to find something called the Founding Titan? Erwin asked, regaining his composure. Why? Power, Annie replied simply. The Founding Titan can control all other Titans. Create them. Direct them. Whoever possesses it could rule the world. And you think Eren has this power? Goku asked, pieces falling into place. Annie's eyes narrowed. We believe his father stole it. Passed it to him. Eren shook his head in confusion. My father was a doctor. He disappeared when Wall Maria fell. Your father was Grisha Jaeger, Annie said, leaning forward despite her restraints. A man from beyond the walls who infiltrated Paradis years ago. He stole the Founding Titan from the royal family, then gave it to you, along with the Attack Titan power you now possess. The revelations continued, each more shocking than the last. Annie explained, with clinical detachment, that the world outside viewed the people within the walls as devils, descendants of a tyrant called Emir Fritz who had made a deal with supernatural forces to gain Titan power. She spoke of her homeland, Marley, which used Titan shifters as weapons of war. Of the mission she, Reiner, and Bertholdt had been given as children, to retrieve the Founding Titan and eliminate the threat of the Island Devils, once and for all. The colossal Titan that breached Wall Maria 5 years ago, Goku said as understanding dawned. That was Bertholdt, wasn't it? And Reiner, the armored Titan, Annie confirmed. The one that destroyed the inner gate at Shiganshina. Eren's face contorted with rage. You're saying Bertholdt and Reiner are responsible for all of it? The fall of Wall Maria? My mother's death? Thousands of people dead or displaced? War requires sacrifice, Annie said, though something like regret flickered across her face. We were children when they sent us. Brainwashed. Trained to see you all as enemies. And now? Erwin asked, his analytical mind already processing the strategic implications of these revelations. Do you still see us that way? Annie was silent for a long moment. I see humans, she said finally. Flawed, frightened, fighting for survival. Not so different from where I come from. Is that why you hesitated during our battle? Goku asked. When I reminded you of our time training together. A shadow passed across Annie's face. 3 years is a long time to live among people you're supposed to hate. To train with them. Laugh with them. Her eyes met Goku's. Fight with them at midnight when no one's watching. The interrogation continued for hours, yielding crucial information about the nature of Titan shifters, the outside world, and the imminent threat posed by Reiner and Bertholdt. By the time they left Annie's cell, dusk had fallen, and a grim determination had settled over the group. We need to return to headquarters immediately, Erwin decided as they emerged from the holding facility. If Reiner and Bertholdt realize Annie has been talking, they might make their move. Should we transport Annie to a more secure location? Hang suggested. If they attempt to rescue her, let them try, Levi said darkly. We'll be ready. As they prepared to depart, Goku pulled Erwin aside. Sir, there's something I've been considering since the expedition. A way I might be able to help more effectively against Titan shifters. I'm listening. If I could train others to use Ki, even in basic forms, it would give us an edge. The hardening ability Annie used is strong, but my energy attacks can penetrate it. Erwin considered this. How long would such training take? For most people, years, Goku admitted. But some might have natural aptitude. Mikasa, for instance, or Captain Levi. With their physical gifts, they might progress faster. Start a program when we return, Erwin decided. Select candidates based on your judgment. But our immediate priority is securing Reiner and Bertholdt before they can cause more damage. They never made it back to headquarters. Halfway through the journey, a rider intercepted them, a scout soldier, bloodied and barely conscious on his horse. Commander, the man gasped as they helped him down. Attack, at headquarters, the colossal and armored titans. Erwin's face hardened. When? Just after dawn. They transformed without warning. Dozens dead already. Section Commander Mike, he ordered me to find you before. The soldier collapsed, his wounds finally overcoming him. Hang checked his pulse, then shook their head grimly. We're too late, Levi said, staring in the direction of headquarters. Even from this distance, a plume of steam was visible on the horizon, the telltale sign of Titan activity. No, Erwin countered, already mounting his horse. We're exactly where we need to be. If Reiner and Berthold have revealed themselves, they've lost the element of surprise. And we have something they don't know about. He looked at Goku and Eren. Two somethings, in fact. They rode hard toward headquarters, pushing their horses to the limit. As they crested a hill overlooking the scout regiment's castle base, the devastation became clear. Sections of the ancient structure had been smashed, fires burned in the training grounds, and bodies lay scattered across the once peaceful grounds. At the center of the destruction stood two massive figures, the 15-meter armored titan, its body covered in hardened plates like natural armor, and the 60-meter colossal titan, a skinless giant radiating steam from its exposed muscles. Survivors fought desperately around them, scout regiment soldiers using their ODM gear to harass the titans while avoiding direct confrontation. Among them, Goku spotted Mikasa, moving with lethal precision as she slashed at the armored titan's joints, seeking weak points in its natural protection. Eren, Erwin said as they observed the battle. You'll engage the armored titan, Reiner. Your combat experience against Annie will serve you well. And the colossal? Hang asked. Conventional attacks barely affect it. That's where I come in, Goku said, already focusing his ki. I'll handle Berthold. Erwin nodded. Levi, coordinate the remaining soldiers. Prioritize evacuation of the wounded. Hang, assess what intelligence materials we can salvage. He raised his blades. Move out. Eren bit his hand immediately, the familiar lightning and steam announcing his transformation as he charged toward Reiner's armored titan. Goku took to the air, flying directly toward the colossal titan's massive face. The battle that followed was like nothing the scout regiment had ever witnessed. Eren's titan form grappled with Reiner's armored titan in a contest of raw strength, the ground shaking beneath their massive bodies. Eren had learned from the expedition, his attacks now targeted weak points in the armor, focusing on joints and exposed flesh rather than trying to overpower Reiner directly. Meanwhile, Goku circled the colossal titan, firing ki blasts at its eyes and mouth to disrupt its concentration. Unlike normal titans, the colossal couldn't move quickly, its massive size made it ponderous, relying on its reach and devastating strength rather than agility. Berthold! Goku shouted as he hovered before the giant's face. It's over. Annie told us everything. About Marley, about your mission. The colossal titan paused, its cavernous eyes focusing on the flying figure before it. Then, with surprising speed for its size, it swung a massive arm toward Goku. He dodged easily, but the true purpose of the attack became clear. It wasn't trying to hit him, but to generate a massive burst of superheated steam that expanded outward in all directions. The scalding cloud engulfed the entire battlefield, forcing scout soldiers to retreat or risk being cooked alive in their gear. Even Goku felt the heat searing his skin as he pulled back, using his ki to create a barrier around himself. Through the steam, he saw Eren struggling against Reiner. The armored titan had pinned Eren's form, using its superior weight and protection to gain advantage. Without intervention, Eren would lose, and possibly be captured, which seemed to be their objective based on Annie's information. Goku made a split-second decision. Gathering his energy, he fired a concentrated ki beam not at the colossal titan, but at Reiner's exposed back. The blast struck with precision, burning through the armor plates and exposing vulnerable flesh beneath. Reiner's titan roared in pain, its grip on Eren loosening enough for him to break free. But the momentary distraction cost Goku. The colossal titan's hand emerged from the steam cloud, swatting him like an insect. The impact sent him crashing through the castle's remaining tower, pain exploding through his body as stone and timber collapsed around him. For a moment, darkness threatened to overtake him. But something deep within, his scion blood, the warrior spirit that defined his race, refused to yield. As he pulled himself from the rubble, he felt that same strange energy from the expedition stirring within him, the great ape transformation calling to him. The sun was setting, the full moon rising once again on the horizon. Last time, he had fought the transformation, containing it to a partial state. But now, with two titan shifters threatening his friends, his home, perhaps controlled power wasn't enough. Goku made his choice. He looked directly at the full moon, allowing its light to trigger the transformation. The change came faster this time, muscles expanding, body growing, fur sprouting across his skin. But unlike before, he didn't fight it. He directed it, channeled it, maintaining his consciousness even as his body became something else entirely. Where Goku had stood, a 30-meter great ape now rose, red-brown fur covering its massive body, a scion warrior in his most primal form. But unlike the mindless destroyers the scion device had shown, this great ape had Goku's eyes, intelligent, determined, focused. The remaining scout soldiers stared in shock at this new development, a third giant joining the battle, neither human nor titan but something else entirely. For a moment, chaos threatened as some soldiers prepared to attack this new threat. "Hold your fire." Erwin's voice cut through the confusion. "He's on our side." The great ape that was Goku roared, beating its chest before charging directly at the colossal titan. For the first time, Bertholdt's giant form faced an opponent of comparable size and strength. The two collided with earth-shaking force, the great ape's superior agility allowing it to duck under the colossal slow swing and deliver a devastating uppercut to its jaw. Meanwhile, Eren had regained the advantage against Reiner. Learning from Goku's attack, he focused on the damaged area of the armored titan's back, pounding at the exposed flesh with methodical determination. Each blow weakened Reiner's defenses further, steam pouring from wounds that couldn't heal fast enough. The tide of battle had turned. The colossal titan, for all its size, couldn't match the great ape's combination of strength, speed, and combat intelligence. Goku pressed his advantage, grappling the skinless giant and forcing it away from the remaining scout structures, protecting the surviving soldiers. Realizing they were outmatched, Reiner and Bertholdt attempted a desperate gambit. The armored titan broke away from Eren, rushing toward the colossal titan with clear intent: evacuation. "They're trying to escape." Levi shouted, recognizing the strategy. "Don't let them regroup." The great ape roared in agreement, redoubling its assault on the colossal titan. With a massive leap, it latched onto the larger giant's back, pounding at the nape where Bertholdt's human form would be connected. The colossal titan stumbled under the assault, its movements becoming erratic as Bertholdt struggled to maintain control. Seeing his partner in trouble, Reiner changed tactics. Instead of retreating, the armored titan charged directly at the great ape, slamming into its side with bone-crushing force. The impact dislodged Goku from the colossal titan's back, sending him tumbling to the ground. The momentary reprieve was all Bertholdt needed. The colossal titan began to emit enormous amounts of steam, not an attack this time, but the precursor to evacuation, just as Annie had done during the expedition. "No!" Goku roared, his voice distorted by the great ape form but still recognizable. He fired a massive energy blast from his mouth, an ability unique to the transformed state, directly at the colossal titan's dissolving form. The beam struck true, but through the steam and debris, it was impossible to tell if Bertholdt had escaped. Something went wrong with this response, please try again. Continue the story by adding the next chapter. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video.